Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Come in, wherever you are. Welcome to the Zero Dark Tony channel. I am Tony D, your host. We have some reports that some live coverage of Tel Aviv that Iran has sent missiles towards Tel Aviv, and we are waiting right now and watching live as Iran strikes Israel. So reports are telling us that the missiles are incoming, and we are watching Tel Aviv right now as this breaking story develops. So check in, hit that like button, and let's see what happens. So live in Tel Aviv, guys. This is crazy. And as we keep an eye on this developing story, we're going to touch on a couple of other breaking items here. Welcome, everybody. So we're waiting right now. Just got reports. So this is a bit of a pins and needles situation here to see how this reported new attack plays out. So let's watch a little more right here of some other breaking stories.
Overnight, U.S. Central Command releasing video showing a strike targeting an Iranian drone carrier, part of a broader mission to sink the entire Iranian Navy.
Good to see you all.
Over 30 ships. And in just the last few hours, we hit an Iranian drone carrier ship, roughly the size of a World War II aircraft carrier.
Video also shows the U.S. striking these hangars at an Iranian airbase. Multiple aircraft were reportedly destroyed. Israel releasing video of this mid-air dogfight over Iran, saying its F-35 shot down an Iranian warplane. ABC News now verifying the U.S. and Israel have damaged or destroyed 13 Iranian missile bases deep underground. Israel claims at least 60% of Iran's missile launchers have now been taken out.
Ballistic missile attacks have decreased by 90% since day one.
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Decreased by 83%.
We are waiting right now.
But Iran continues to strike across
the Iran
the
has released. Let's see. We're going to go back over there. And reports say that rockets could hit any moment in Tel Aviv. So we're waiting to see how that plays out. Morning. Oops. So live in Tel Aviv right here. This is the live shot. reports that we have an actual live airstrike coming into Tel Aviv, as reports have told us that Iran has just launched rockets towards Tel Aviv. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. This is live breaking news, guys. This is as serious as it gets. And again, a live shot from Tel Aviv as we wait to see if this Iranian launch gets through the Israeli defenses. So like and subscribe. As we see how this plays out live in Tel Aviv. Thank you for joining me. Hit the like button, guys. Greetings, everyone. President Trump saying he will not accept anything but a full surrender. Hit the like button. And as we keep an eye on this, here is another story from Bloomberg about the situation with Trump. Let's listen.
When we look back at this war, people will see it as a game-changing event for the region. There hasn't really been a precedent ever in history where the response out of Iran has involved as many countries as we're seeing today.
Will never be threatened by a nuclear-armed Iran.
There are multiple political risks for Trump. It's arguably the most definitive decision and move that he has made since coming into office for the second time.
With the big U.S. military buildup that had occurred, there was an assumption that there would be some form of military action.
One of the tenets of that America First policy was no new wars. And now he started a war.
Everyone in this region, including the Gulf states, had underestimated the scale and the breadth of the Iranian response.
The president campaigned as a candidate in 2024 as someone who upheld the America First policy. And it's important to note that he's started this war in the middle of what is an election year.
I think one of the biggest fears is the unintended consequences of pursuing a war without a clear objective.
The biggest political thorn in his side, at least as far as his base has been concerned, is the Jeffrey Epstein files. But Iran has the potential to be high up on that list, potentially equal with that.
Thank you, Stu Burst and Mac and Cheese.
The president was supposed to be, according to his advisors, spending the next several months doing a multi-state domestic tour talking about his economic record. The opportunity, I think, presented itself.
This was our last best chance to strike.
The president decided that this was the window to do it and made very clear that he wanted to see what he called regime change.
We're finding ourselves in, if not the worst case, very close to one of the worst case scenarios that these Gulf states had been actively trying to avoid.
It came at a time when the economy in Iran was weak. There have been protests, which of course the Iranian government had worked to tap down. Iran may be creating its own political risks by responding to the US and Israeli attacks by attacking its own neighbors.
The assumption in prior episodes, whenever Iran had been attacked or come under attack, was that it would direct its response at Israel or very targeted US assets in the region. Gulf states won't have an endless appetite for this war to continue as the costs continue to mount. It has led to the effective closure of the Strait of Hormuz. About 25% of the world's seaborne oil passes through this choke point. Now here's the typical traffic for oil tankers. Now look at the drop right after the first strikes began. Vessels are choosing not to pass through it. Shipping costs have gone up between 50 and 100%.
There's the economic risk, which then has a potential impact on the elections as well. And that is, if the fallout from this war leads to higher oil prices, and that translates to higher gasoline prices, then that takes away a really, really important talking point for President Trump that will hurt his chances of maintaining Republican control of Congress. So far, you've seen pretty robust support from Republicans. If this war has broader economic implications, then you might begin to see Republicans who are eager to be reelected distancing themselves from this president.
For the Gulf states, the priority here is somehow to bring down the temperature. And perhaps the off-ramp could come from using their political personal leverage with President Trump. A lot of this is guessing, and at this point, there are no signs yet that the system is beginning to change on the ground within Iran.
Wow. So we're going to go right back over here to Tel Aviv, live in Tel Aviv, seeing what's going to happen with this launch from Tehran. And we're keeping a close eye on this as we look at some of these other stories, guys. Thanks for joining me. Hit that like button. Yeah, the gas prices are going to be a big thing for these. It's always a huge thing for elections. I mean, gas prices are always huge for elections. So let's go see about this strike in Qatar, about some U.S. military bases that have been hit.
Qatar saying an Iranian ballistic missile has struck Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. That is the largest military installation for the United States in the entire Middle East. And it comes as a new CNN investigation is now looking specifically at the American targets hit so far by Iranian strikes, every single one of them. Tamara Klablawi is out front.
Satellite imagery showing the extent of the damage to U.S. military facilities across Gulf Arab countries is starting to emerge, part of Iran's furious response to an Israeli-American campaign that decimated its leadership.
Hey, everybody.
At least 9 U.S. military positions have been hit in less than 48 hours.
Whoa.
These are relatively close targets. They're much nearer to Iran than its usual target, Israel. That proximity may give Iran's missiles and drones a better chance of hitting their targets. This is the port of Shuaibah, where just after 9 a.m. on Sunday morning, an Iranian strike set a makeshift U.S. operations center at the civilian port ablaze. 6 American service members were killed in the attack. You can see smoke rising from the fire, the blown-out 3-wide trailer blackened on the inside. There are few signs of fortification. In another attack, a drone, this appears to be the Arash 2, crashes into U.S. positions in Camp Buring. A building severely damaged. American helicopters parked inside the base were nearly hit. In Bahrain, a Shahid attack drone flies into the base that hosts the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet, one of the largest American naval formations in the world. It looks alarmingly defenseless. The drone hits one satellite communication terminal, clearly seen here. But the scale of the damage is more obvious here, warehouses and other buildings damaged. And another satellite communication terminal destroyed in a separate attack. We see this pattern of targeting throughout the region. At least 5 satellite communication terminals were destroyed. It points to a possible Iranian effort to cut US bases off from the outside world. Iran used an unprecedented barrage of missiles and drones. US Patriot missiles and other multi-billion-dollar air defense systems shot most of these out of the sky. But the ones that got through were enough to puncture the veil of security around oil-rich Gulf Arab states and the heart of America's security infrastructure in the Middle East. Now, the question is just how long can Iran sustain these attacks? That depends on how big their stockpiles of missiles and drones are, which is currently unknown. And really, Aaron, it comes down to how quickly can the US and Israel achieve their stated objective of obliterating the missiles. Until that happens, Iran has made it clear that in the aftermath of the killing of Ayatollah Khamenei, it plans to sow as much chaos as possible to US interests in the Middle East and beyond.
At the very top of the program, I mentioned the strike on Al Udeid that we are understanding has just happened, and that was from we understand, a ballistic missile from Iran. What's the significance of that, given that you've been there so much, but that this is the single largest military base in the region?
Well, the Qatari government has the obligation, in concert with the United States, agreements in place to protect the airspace. When I was there, and over the course of time, certainly there was a full integration of not only U.S. air defense capabilities and those that are possessed by the Qatarian government. In this case, over the course of time, maybe the U.S. presence there has decreased somewhat, and in Qatar, it has increased to a point that they now have primacy in terms of that mission set. That's the only thing I can assume right now, because for Iran to be able to target Al Udeid, first of all, it's a known location. They know where it is, so that's no mystery. Yep. But for it to get through, that's a legitimate concern.
And U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says all personnel are accounted for.
Well, that's good. We're going to go over to an interview here with the Iran foreign minister talking about his take and position on ground troops coming into Iran. He says they're going to fight him. He said it's going to be bad for the U.S. Let's listen to what he's got to say.
Our exclusive interview with Iran's foreign minister, who joined us from Tehran, which just wrapped up moments ago. The foreign minister answering questions about why Iran is attacking its neighbors in the Middle East and whether they're willing to negotiate with the U.S. But I started by asking him who exactly is in charge of Iran right now after its supreme leader was killed over the weekend. Minister Arachi, we thank you for your time. Who is in charge of Iran right now?
Well, thank you, Tom, for having me in your program. Well, I think the system is working very well. We have lost a supreme leader, but according to our constitution, there is now a council which takes charge of his duties, and then the president, the cabinet, ministers, everybody is in its position. So the system is working very well, and everybody, is in charge.
We know that there's been a council. We know that there's been a council to fulfill the duties of the supreme leader, but we also know that there's a selection process in play to pick the next Ayatollah. There are reports that Ayatollah Khamenei's son is a front runner. Is that true?
Greetings, everyone. Hit the like button for me.
Exact information. There are many rumors around, but we have to wait for the assembly of experts to choose the new supreme leader.
I also asked the foreign minister about Iranian ships being sunk and whether he believes Iran can win this war. Here's what he had to say. The world saw your battleship sunk in the Indian Ocean. Dozens of Iranian sailors died. Your response was, quote, "Mark my words, the U.S. will come to bitterly regret the precedent it has set." So what is Iran going to do? And at this point, given the state of your military right now, what can you do?
Well, first of all, that was a training training ship, which was invited by the Indian Navy to take part in an exercise. And they went there as their guests, the Indians guests, and they, did participate in that exercise, and they were in their way back home. and the ship was unarmed. So attacking an unarmed ship full of training officers and sailors is a war crime, I have to say.
What type of battleship? Minister, excuse me, but what type of military would allow a battleship into the ocean with no weapons on board?
Well, because it was, the goal was not, their aim was not going to war. They went for an exercise, which was arranged by the Indian Navy. There are so many other guests who went there, and they, took part in a parade. And, everything was a peaceful, training course or peaceful training process. So they didn't need, weapons. They actually went to that mission long before the war started. And when I said that the U.S. would regret that, I meant that they have, the U.S. have unfortunately set a precedent which is, against the international law and would actually damage the whole concept of international, law of seas. When an unarmed, ship is attacked with no reason, and a big number of sailors are killed without taking part in any battle, that would set a precedent. And
the U.S. The U.S. says it controls the skies, that Iran's ballistic missile attacks have dropped more than 80%. The U.S. has hit over 2,000 Iranian targets. The Pentagon says America is winning decisively. Do you think they're wrong?
Well, I think, now 6 days after the war, it is clear that the U.S. Has failed to achieve its main goal, which was clean, rapid victory. They failed to achieve that, and now they are trying to justify why they did attack us, and they have, presented so many different reasons, but none of them worked. And now they are talking about, Plan B, and I believe that, their Plan B would be even a bigger failure. So they are controlling our sky. But at the moment,
Minister, your supreme leader was killed. Your top military leaders were killed. Your military installations have been bombed. How can you call that a failure?
Well, then what they have achieved? What was their goal? They came here for a regime change, perhaps. They came here for a rapid victory, so they can, control everything. But they have failed. The system is working. The commanders have been replaced, and the supreme leader is going to be replaced soon, according to the procedures set by the Constitution. So everything is in order. Yes, we have been targeted, but we have also have attacked so many targets in Israel, and so many targets belongs to the Americans. Their assets, their bases, their installations in the region. And, they have not been able to prevent those attacks. Our missiles are still working. Our missiles are still in place and hitting their targets in a very precise manner. So,
Minister, can Iran win this war? If I can ask you, can Iran win this war, and what does winning look like for Iran?
Well, there is no winner in this war. Our win is to be able to resist against, their illegal, goals. And this is what we have done so far. So they have failed to achieve their goals, and we have been able to resist against them, to stand against the most powerful army of the world, as they claim, together with, Israelis, who are also claim to have a big army. Two of them are nuclear armed, but still, the people of Iran, the armed forces of Iran, have been able to stand firm against them. They couldn't, stop us firing missiles to Israel and to other destinations. We are doing very well, and they have not been able to stop us. So this is our win.
Yeah.
And I don't think they can be a winner at the end of the day.
Minister, explain to us and to the world, really, Iran has chosen to attack at least 10 other countries, many of them your Arab neighbors. None of them were involved in this war. Why are you attacking your Muslim neighbors during the holy month of Ramadan?
Oh, please don't mistake. We have not attacked our neighbors. We have not attacked Muslim countries. We have attacked Americans' targets and Americans' bases, Americans' installations, which are unfortunately located in the soils of our neighbors. So we have made it clear for them. I have been in touch with their foreign ministers, and I have explained that we are not targeting you. We have no problem with you. We are only targeting the American installations and American bases. And the reason is obvious.
But Minister, Iran is hitting civilian targets, striking hotels, high-rise apartments, airports in many of these countries. Those are not military targets.
Well, no, we have targeted very well. The Americans are. Maybe there have been some collateral damages, as it is in every war. Look, more than 70,000 people were killed in Gaza by Israelis, and Israeli army called all of them collateral damage. So yes, there is the possibility of collateral damages in this situation as well. This is what we have warned everybody in the region beforehand, that if the U.S. attack us, we have no way but to attack their installations, which are in your territories, and then everything may go out of hand, and the war would become a disaster for the whole region. This is what we have warned, and many others have warned, and many Americans have also warned the U.S. administration, do not repeat the same mistake. They have done it before in our region, and this is what they have done. This war is not our war. This is not our choice. This is a war of choice by the United States.
Iran's foreign minister also weighed in about whether his country would be open to a ceasefire with the U.S. Here's what he told me. Right now, you're saying Iran does not want a ceasefire.
We are not asking for a ceasefire. And we don't see any reason why we should negotiate with the U.S. When we negotiated with them twice, and every time they attacked us at the middle of negotiations. So there is no request for a ceasefire by us, and there is no request for the negotiation with the U.S. From us. We have never sent any messages to them.
Minister, you said that Iran cannot reach U.S. soil, right, the American homeland, with the weapons that you have right now. Is there any other way that Americans should be concerned that Iran could attack the American homeland?
No, they have enough bases around us. Why we should go further than that? They have enough soldiers, they have enough, military assets, and they have enough military bases and military installations. So we don't need to go beyond that.
The Strait of Hormuz hasn't been closed, but the threat of its closure has disrupted the international economy. If this war continues, will Iran try to close the Strait of Hormuz?
But they have not closed it. It is the ships and tankers who don't try to pass through to cross the strait because they are, concerned about being hit by either side. So we have no intention to close it right now. But as the war continues, we will consider every scenario. For the time being, we have not done yet. And but the strait is, almost empty of ships and tankers because of their concern.
In this war, are international oil tankers potential targets for Iran?
No. Why they should be a goal for us?
Iran threatened tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has already threatened them to set them afire.
Over 2,000 people in the building.
No, we have not threatened them. They are concerned themselves, and they don't use the Strait of Hormuz because of the concerns they have to be hit by either side.
Is Iran privately talking to U.S. officials right now through back channels?
No.
There's no communication with you and Steve Witkoff or Jared Kushner?
No, not after Thursday that we met last time. We met last Thursday. We negotiated for almost 7 hours. They were so happy when they left the negotiation table because we were able to make significant progress, as the Omani foreign minister said in his statement, and he checked his statement with both sides, and both sides agreed with the term he used. And we were made really significant progress. They were happy when they left, but I don't know what happened after they left.
And I asked Iran's foreign minister about whether his country is prepared for a possible ground invasion from American troops.
Well, this is the good part.
President Trump has not ruled out boots on the ground in Iran. Are you afraid of a U.S. invasion in your country?
No, we are waiting for them.
We're waiting for them.
You are waiting for the U.S. military to invade the ground troops?
Okay.
Yes, because we are confident that we can confront them, and that would be a big disaster for them.
So you're saying that Iran is ready and willing to take on the U.S. military if there were to be ground troops?
Well, we were ready for this war even more than the previous war. So you can see, the quality of our missiles, how much they are upgraded after the last war, because we learned lots of lessons. And we are prepared for any other eventuality, even, a ground invasion. So our soldiers are prepared for any scenario. When I said that we are waiting for them, it didn't mean that we are waiting for continuation of the war. No, but we have prepared ourselves to confront with any scenario, with any eventuality, any possibility, and we know that we can handle that.
Are your allies Russia and China helping you?
Well, they are supporting us politically and otherwise.
Are they supporting you militarily?
Well, military cooperation between Iran and Russia is not a secret. We have worked with each other in the past, and that has continued, and will continue, I guess.
And they are actively helping you in this war?
Well, they have always helped us.
Wow.
So I'm gonna understand that to mean yes, that they are actively assisting you in this war?
Well, I'm not going to give the details of our cooperation with other countries right in the middle of the war.
For more, I want to bring in our chief international correspondent, Keir Simmons. He joins us from the region in Dubai. And Keir, he made a lot of news there, that they haven't picked a leader yet, that they're not interested in a ceasefire. And he really tried to justify why Iran is attacking its neighbors. You're in one of those countries right now that is under attack. Does it seem like they're targeting only military assets?
It doesn't, Tom, and that's not my view. That's the view of diplomats in this region and diplomats around the world. I will just say it was a calm, cool and collected performance. But, for example, they've had to delay the funeral of Ayatollah Khamenei. They would not want to do that if everything was fine in Iran. To your question, Tom, for example, the Prime Minister of Qatar, after a call with Foreign Minister Araghchi,
we have reports
said
that
he
Iran has fired missiles towards Israel. We're
Iran's
monitoring
claim,
that situation.
That they are only targeting sites that are legitimate, saying they're targeting, for example, the airport. But even then, the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, after a call with Foreign Minister Araghchi, made a statement that did condemn the attacks by the US in Israel, but then goes on to say that Iran should take seriously the legitimate concerns of neighboring countries, that China was confident it would. That is, from the China perspective, a kind of veiled way of saying that Iran needs to be careful about what it's doing in this region. We've had bombardment after bombardment after bombardment. The only reason those bombardments have not done as much damage as they could is because of the air defenses in this region.
Keir Simmons, we thank you. Stand by for us. I want to go to our senior national security correspondent, Courtney Kuby, who covers the Pentagon for us. Courtney, the foreign minister there had a lot to say if there is some type of boots on the ground, if there is an invasion by U.S. troops there, posturing at times, but sending a clear message to the White House.
Yeah, I was fascinated by a number of different things he said there, but from a U.S. military perspective, two things really stood out. One was what you just pointed out, Tom, and that's the idea of the Iranian military being ready and waiting for U.S. boots on the ground. Of course, this has been a huge point of contention and discussion here in the U.S. even before the strikes began on Saturday morning. And that is because we have heard differing messages from the Trump administration about the possibility that U.S. troops could be on the ground there at some point as part of this war in Iran. President Trump not ruling it out, and the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, also not ruling out that possibility. The real question is, why would U.S. troops be needed if, in fact, they're able to accomplish most of these military strikes from the air? What would you need them for? And, Tom, the answer would be if, in fact, the U.S. is trying to inflict some sort of regime change there, it would be tough to do that from the air. And then the other big question is the nuclear program. What exactly, how will there be any kind of assurance about exactly what happens at the facilities if the United States military decides to hit them again? We've not seen that so far as part of this current campaign. The other thing I want to point out that I was really fascinated by were his comments to you about the Strait of Hormuz and denying that the Iranians are interested in doing anything in the Strait of Hormuz. Of course, it would have a huge impact on global commerce. It already is, though, as travel through that narrow choke point has already depleted, been decreased so much in the last several days. You can see it there. At some points, it's as narrow as about 12 miles across, with normally a huge amount of tankers and commercial shipping going through that region. It is desperately down right now from where it was. The only reason that was fascinating to me, Tom, was his argument that they would not do anything to impede the Strait of Hormuz. I would just remember or mine it. I would recall 2019 when, in fact, Iran did use mines, limpet mines. Those are little magnetic mines on the side of two tankers, blowing both of them up, disabling them. It was in the Gulf of Oman. This would not be unheard of for the Iranians to lash out using mines in that region, Tom.
And we're keeping a close eye over here on Tel Aviv. As you can see, this is a live shot from Tel Aviv. Keeping a close eye on the developments there. If more strikes come in towards Tel Aviv, there's a call for the U.S. to quadruple its manufacturing of weapons, and we're going to hear a little bit about that.
Coming in from CENTCOM, that's, of course, U.S. Central Command, showing the U.S. sinking an Iranian carrier there, and a massive one at sea. You can see the smoke rising, the flames, the fire, all of it, and this was a little more than 24 hours ago. I want to talk more about Operation Epic Fury, but also the U.S. weaponry, Israel, Iran, all of it. Let's bring in a great friend of the show. We have Matthew Wiz Buckley, retired Navy FA-18 fighter pilot, also a Top Gun grad, combat veteran, and the founder of the No Fallen Heroes Foundation. Thank you so much, Wiz, as always, for taking the time to join us here.
Morning, Josh. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And first off, I have to ask you about that video released by CENTCOM, because we've seen a lot of different videos that have been released over the past week since Operation Epic Fury began. This one, though, as I pop it up on your screen, this gives you a look at that Iranian carrier sinking. And what's important to note is that it is a very large ship.
Yeah, absolutely. This ship was the size of a U.S. Navy World War II aircraft carrier. So not obviously the size of the Lincoln or the Gerald Ford, but a significant naval vessel. And I remember when they launched this thing and they had drones flying off of it, and all their AI swap videos of them taking out our carrier strike groups, and now it's essentially on the bottom of the Persian Gulf. So again, another demonstration of the United States military's might and our naval power to, it's just unparalleled. So if it floats, it's going to sink.
And this is a post now coming in just moments ago from U.S. Central Command, as they say, it's never fair when a B-52 is involved. And this is a quote from Secretary of War Pete Hegseth that says, quote, "This was never meant to be a fair fight, and it's not a fair fight. We are punching them while they're down." What do you make of that quote right there? We heard Pete Hegseth say it just a few days ago.
Well, Josh, if you want to get into a fair fight, you're an idiot. You should never get into a fight unless you know or you have a high confidence that you're going to win. When I flew up in Top Gun, I was an adversary pilot. It was my job to be the best bad guy to train all of our good guys to go overseas for these types of operations. Josh, if our air crews or our Army or Marines, if any of the U.S. military goes anywhere in the world and we're surprised or we're outgunned, we failed. We have a saying, you fight like you train and you train like you fight. So anywhere in the world, it shouldn't be a fair fight. If you're trying to fight fair, you're going to lose.
I know you probably can't go into too much specifics, but essentially wanted to know a little bit about the weaponry that the U.S. has versus what we've seen from Iran, because also important to note that you have the U.S. and Israel that are working together jointly here. But I have to imagine that the U.S. military is much more powerful and stronger than Iran, even without Israel.
It's not even close, Josh. I mean, they're gone now, but they're F-4 Phantoms, they're F-14 Tomcats. You know, they're from the 70s. They had some MiG-29s and some F-5s. They're all gone. So the Air Force isn't even close. As we just alluded to, the Navy's, most of it's on the bottom of the Persian Gulf. It's just not even close. And Josh, this isn't Afghanistan. This isn't Iraq. It's certainly not the original Desert Storm. The technology today, Josh, is insane. I keep hearing panicking here in the United States talking about Iranian missile stockpiles. They have hundreds, if not thousands left. Hey, last time I checked, Josh, missiles don't sprout out of the ground and launch themselves. They're stored somewhere. And the last time I checked, they need a launcher. And
they definitely need launchers. They definitely need.
The second somebody lights off a bottle rocket.
We're going to jump over to this Shield of the Americas from the White House this morning. This is something I'm just going to run up here for you guys as we wait to see what happens in Tel Aviv.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Let's see what this is about.
Well, thank you very much. It's been a pretty wild time, but it's going very well. Sit down, please. And tremendous progress has been made, as you're probably seeing just by watching. We're doing something. I built the military and rebuilt it and made it really strong in my first administration, along with a lot of other things we did. We had a great first term. And now we're using it. Unfortunately, we have to. But you're seeing how great it is. There's no military like it on earth, not even close. And we're doing very well in Iran. You see the result. And it's been amazing. We've knocked out 42 Navy ships, some of them very large, in 3 days. That was the end of the Navy. We knocked out their Air Force. We knocked out their communications, and all telecommunications is gone. I don't know how they communicate, but I guess they will figure something out. It's not working out too well. And they're bad people. They're just bad people. When you look at October 7th and beyond October 7th, look at all the killing that they've done over the years, for 47 years. And this had to be done. They were very close to a nuclear weapon. They would have had one if we didn't do our B-2 hit, Midnight Hammer. They would have had it 8 months ago. They would have had a nuclear weapon, and, you know, they're crazy, and they would have used it. So we did the world a favor. And they said, well, how are you doing on a scale of 0 to 10? How are you doing with the attack? And I said, about a 15, I would say, with 10 being the best. But it's something that had to be done, and we're doing it well. And I want to thank everybody involved. I'll be going right after this. I'll be leaving for Dover, very sad situation, to greet the families of the heroes coming home from Iran, coming home in a different manner than they thought they'd be coming home. But they're great heroes in our country, and we're going to keep it that way. There's always, when it comes to war, there's always that. But we're going to keep it to a minimum, I think, Pete. And
like and subscribe, guys.
A service that we're really providing, not for the Middle East, but for the world. These were sick people, very sick people. This morning, I'm honored to welcome distinguished heads of state from across the Western Hemisphere for the first Shield of the Americas Summit. And it's something very, very special. Marco's been working on it very hard, so have a lot of other people. because it's a very important place for us. It's nice to be home. It's very, very important. You know, we go all over the world, 9,000 miles away, 12,000 miles away. I said, how long is this flight? Sir, this flight is 19 hours. I said, oh, that's great. I said, now I have flights that last for 2 hours. I like that better. Much better. But on this historic day, we come together to announce a brand new military coalition to eradicate the criminal cartels plaguing our region. And you have a lot of it. One of the things when we were talking backstage, you were telling me the crime, the cartels, and we're knocking the hell out of them where we can. We're going to go heavier. You saw what we were doing with the boats coming in. The boats, there's not a lot of people coming in by boats anymore. We knocked down drugs coming in by sea. Drugs coming in through water is down 96%. We're trying to find out who the other 4% are, because I think they're the bravest people in the world. Either that or they don't watch television, right? They're either very brave or they're not watching. But we're calling this military partnership the America's Counter Cartel Coalition. And that's what you need. You have cartels. They seem to grow in this region unbelievably rapidly. It has to do with drugs largely. Earlier this week here in Miami, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, who's right here. Pete, you are fantastic, doing a great job. We're proud of you. And representatives of 17 different nations formally entered this new alliance. The heart of our agreement is a commitment to using lethal military force to destroy the sinister cartels and terrorist networks once and for all. We'll get rid of them. We need your help. You have to just tell us where they are. We have amazing weaponry, as you probably noticed over the last short period of time. But I want to thank members of the coalition, most of whom are friends of mine. Few of them I just met, but most of whom are friends, many of whom I endorsed. And they took that endorsement and they went on to win big. I haven't had a bad endorsement yet, right? He says, yes. He was happy. He was a couple of points down and went up like a rocket ship, right, in Argentina. But the president of Argentina is here, Javier Milei. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here. President of El Salvador, another friend, Nayib Bukele. You know, he is a man who we've gotten very close to. I saw him as a young man my first time. You were young and handsome. Now you're older and handsome. You're older and handsome. But he runs a good operation. That's all I care about, right? When I first saw him, I said, he's too young. And then I saw the job he did. I said, well, I guess he's not too young, because I was young and did well. But you've been a great president, and we appreciate the relationship very much. President of Paraguay, Santiago Peña. Thank you very much.
For the 300 tools.
President of Ecuador, Danielle Noboa. Danielle, thank you. Thank you, Danielle. President of Panama. I love that canal. Jose, I think he made the greatest deal in history. He bought it for $1. One of our brilliant presidents. I can't sleep over that deal. They gave it to him for $1. Jose Raul Molino, whereas, you know, you made one of the greatest real estate deals in history. Jimmy Carter, one of our great presidents. President of Honduras, Tito Asfora. Thank you, Tito. Thank you very much. Great to see you the other day. President of Guyana, Irfan Ali. Thank you. President of Bolivia, Rodrigo Paz. Thank you very much. Great people. Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And I have to be very careful with this because, you know, your first name is very similar to a first name that we have, but fortunately it's pronounced different. It's Kamala, as opposed to Kamala. I like Kamala better in many ways. And I just want to say thank you very much, but I had to be careful with that first name. I didn't want to get it mixed up because it would ruin your reputation completely. Right? I said, is this the same pronunciation? No, sir, it's a little different. It's Cam, right? Cam, as opposed to Cam. Well, we don't like Cam. President of Costa Rica, Rodrigo Chavez, as well as the President-elect of Costa Rica, Laura Fernandez Delgado. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. And the President of the Dominican Republic, Luis Abinader, and so many of my friends are in the Dominican, including the Sugar King, right? He is indeed the Sugar King. He got a lot of sugar. I don't know if that's good or bad, but he's got a lot of it, right? But we're grateful to be joined as well by the President-elect of Chile, Jose Cast. Congratulations. It's an endorsement. Gave you a little endorsement. I love when I give endorsements and people win.
Miss me with that. Thank you.
But you know what? They don't lose. You know, I don't know. I guess it would be illegal. Could you imagine if I could say they spend millions and millions and millions of dollars on a campaign? They're losing, and they beg me for an endorsement. I give them an endorsement. They win by 30 points, and I get nothing. If I could
We're going to jump back over to this in just a second. We're going to take a look at some of the attacks that have happened over the past hours and days.
הנה מגיע עכשיו כל ההצלה. איזה שוק. איזה פחד. يا الله يا الله قدامي بالظبط. هذا مات. هذول ماتوا بالسيارة.
واو.
שינוי ספר תורה.
זה מיירטים אבל. הנה. יואו! תפסתי את זה, אני לא מאמין. Oh shit! It's a motherfucking rocket! Oh my...
Wow. So these are images over the past hours and days of some of these rocket attacks. This is Israel.
Oh shit! It's a motherfucking rocket! Oh my...
No.
موشک رو دیدی این همونجا بود وای بازم خورد الان
Those are the air sirens. Yeah, this is, I said it's from the past days. Now we're... Well, you go get your own. Keep your ears open. You need some bigger ears?
הרכב, כולם בסדר, אחד יצא, הנה הפיר. אוקיי, אני פה. הנה מגיע עכשיו כל ההצלה. איזה שוק. איזה פחד.
יא אללה. יא אללה, דם בזאת.
So now we're going to go over and take a look at some of the satellite images that we can see here.
The extent of the damage to U.S. military facilities across Gulf Arab countries is starting to emerge, part of Iran's furious response to an Israeli-American campaign that decimated its leadership. At least 9 U.S. military positions have been hit in less than 48 hours. These are relatively close targets. They're much nearer to Iran than its usual target, Israel. That proximity may give Iran's missiles and drones a better chance of hitting their targets. This is the port of Shuaiba, where just after 9 a.m. on Sunday morning, an Iranian strike set a makeshift U.S. operations center at the civilian port ablaze. 6 American service members were killed in the attack. You can see smoke rising from the fire. The blown-out 3-wide trailer blackened on the inside. There are few signs of fortification. In another attack, a drone, this appears to be the Arash 2, crashes into U.S. positions in Camp Buring. A building severely damaged. American helicopters parked inside the base were nearly hit. In Bahrain, a Shahid attack drone flies into the base that hosts the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet, one of the largest American naval formations in the world. It looks alarmingly defenseless. The drone hits one satellite communication terminal, clearly seen here. But the scale of the damage is more obvious here, warehouses and other buildings damaged, and another satellite communication terminal destroyed in a separate attack. We see this pattern of targeting throughout the region. At least 5 satellite communication terminals were destroyed. It points to a possible Iranian effort to cut US bases off from the outside world. Iran used an unprecedented barrage of missiles and drones. US Patriot missiles and other multi-billion-dollar air defense systems shot most of these out of the sky. But the ones that got through were enough to puncture the veil of security around oil-rich Gulf Arab states and the heart of America's security infrastructure in the Middle East.
We have obtained incredible new satellite imagery, and this is really important. It does show extensive damage at military bases across Iran, as you might expect, but that is what it shows. Now, we're using these images to piece together how the United States managed to kill the country's supreme leader and so many around him that they after they thought dark was light, darkness was done, they're going to have this meeting. And was taken out. The U.S., we understand, had secretly been trailing him with intelligence for months. Katie Polglaze is out front with this incredible report.
With Iran very much still under attack, we've been using videos and satellite images like this one of the strike on the Supreme Leader's office to analyse how the senior leadership was dismantled by US and Israeli strikes and where exactly they've hit.
We now know from US and Israeli sources that the CIA, along with Israeli intelligence, had been tracking Iran's senior leadership for months. Then came intelligence about a perfect opportunity to strike in broad daylight when many of Iran's top officials would be in the same place at once.
Oof. And that place was here, the leadership house and the hub of Iran's power. It's also the office of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, now confirmed dead. It's in a very old, traditional Tehran neighbourhood, surrounded by government offices, scientific institutions and museums. Khamenei was known to not leave this compound much. He was seen here in this video just last week, addressing crowds at a mosque. The Israelis say they hit 3 sites on the compound simultaneously. We found several locations that have damage. You can see a central building completely flattened. You can also see 2 craters here. This one appeared to have been targeting an underground structure, according to a former US Special Operations Tactical Advisor, Wes Bryant. Over here, you can see crowds and emergency and construction vehicles. But this wasn't the only location hit. The Intelligence Ministry headquarters was also up in smoke yesterday. And then there's this strike, right outside the house of former Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. He has today been reported dead by some Iranian outlets. CNN has not been able to confirm his death. Ali Shamkhani, a senior advisor to the Supreme Leader, has also been reported dead by the Iranian authorities. He narrowly escaped death last June when Israel struck his home in this precise targeting of a top-floor apartment. Almost miraculously, he emerged from the rubble days later. This time, he was not so lucky. But others have been. The Iranian foreign minister here, Abbas Araghchi, was away in Geneva this week. The Oman Foreign Ministry posted this picture of him meeting his counterpart just 4 days ago. That trip may have saved his life. But Iran is very much still under attack. This IDF footage from Sunday morning shows a strike on the headquarters of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, the notoriously brutal elite wing of Iran's military. What happens next remains to be seen, but Iran is aggressively fighting back, striking multiple US allies across the Middle East, including the United Arab Emirates. Fires visible here over Dubai's port area, alongside Kuwait, Qatar and Bahrain.
All right, I want to go to retired Army Major General Spider Marks now out front, head of the geopolitical intelligence at Academy Securities. And, you know, when you look at...
Back to some of the president's speech on this shield of America. We're going to listen to that.
Is there a way, do we have any of our legal people here? Marco's close enough. Is there a way I could get paid for that, Marco? I'd make a lot. They spend millions of dollars, and I give it for nothing. I could, even if I put it into the Treasury of the United States, it would be pretty good, right, Marco? But Marco's saying this is not a good idea. No, but it's an honor to do it. It's an honor to have that power where I can endorse somebody, and even in foreign countries. Here it was, we had one in this week, 124-0 with endorsements, and so that's good. But now I'm doing foreign countries all of a sudden. They're saying, sir, would you endorse me? And it's an honor. If I like you, I only do it if I think you're good. You know, if I think you're not good, I've turned down many more than I've accepted, believe me. I want to thank Secretary of State Marco Rubio for his leadership in organizing this really important summit. He's fantastic. He's a fantastic Secretary of State. And thus far, look, we've had the most incredible year of any president, I think, by, you know, I ended 8 wars. We're not going to go into it too much today, but what we've done is incredible. And we're going to be doing some incredible things together, because I look at our region, if I can call it that, as being very important. It's been abandoned by the United States for so many years. You know, they went so far away. They went to these faraway places where they weren't even wanted. And a lot of stupid people, really stupid people. But Marco is going to go down, I think, as the best Secretary of State in history. That's my opinion. Now, I'm a little prejudiced because I like him too. But I think he's on his way. So you've done 25%. You got 75%. He's got 3 years left. So he's got 25% under your belt. So far, you're leading. You're very leading by just about a smidge over a couple of pretty great ones, right? We've had a couple of pretty great ones, right? But I think he's going to do that. And I think Pete's right there, too. If Pete keeps going, he's going to be something, too. At what he does. All of the nations in this room share the same priorities: security, prosperity, free commerce, and the rule of law. And you want the rule of law. Sometimes your communities don't let you have it because you got some rough communities, right? That's why together we're also forming the Shield of Americas, a new organization to advance these shared priorities in our hemisphere. And we're pleased to be joined as well by Secretaries Pete Hegseth, Scott Bessent. Scott, thank you very much, Scott. Oh, it has to be a big deal if you're here. Well, he controls the purse strings of the country. You know, he goes on television and he just soothes everybody. He did it yesterday. The prices were going. He got on. He's a soothing person. Next. He's actually a killer, but I don't want to say that. No, he's a soothing person. He goes on television. Right, Pete? I think nobody better. So we could use him for war every once in a while, you know, soothe. Although we don't really want that kind of a personality for war. We want your personality for war. You're just perfect. Howard Lutnick, Thank you, Howard.
Oh, boy.
Chris Wright, Kristi Noem, along with U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer.
Welcome, everybody. Like and subscribe. Thank you so much for being here.
You deal very successfully. I ask Jameson all the time, can you get more? Can you get more? He's the king of tariffs, right? But he's very gentle. We want to be very gentle with our friends, right, Jameson? Deputy Secretary of State Chris Landau. Chris, where is Chris? I haven't seen Chris. He's fantastic. He was an incredible student. He went to the best schools, and he was #1 in his class at all times. And Marco saw that and saw the talent he's got, and she said, that's the guy I want as a deputy, and I heard you're doing a great job. Thank you very much. Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller. Stephen is, I don't have to tell you anything about Stephen. Everyone knows. There's nothing, Stephen, there's nothing I can say. He's fantastic, that's all I can say. And Senator Bernie Moreno, who's a credible friend of mine, and he ran a great race. He was not given much of a chance. He was running against a person who was there for a long time and was sort of considered a shoo-in, right, Bernie? And we knocked him out. We knocked him out. He's trying to make a comeback, but we took him out. And Bernie's done a great job. For decades, leaders in this region have allowed large swaths of territory in the Western Hemisphere to come under the direct control, and transnational gangs have taken over, and they've run areas of your country. We're not going to let that happen. We'll help you. And bloodthirsty cartels that impose their will through murder, torture, extortion, drug trafficking, bribery, and terror. And some of you are in danger. I mean, you're actually in danger. It's hard to believe. But we're working with you to do whatever we have to do. We'll use missiles. If you want us to use a missile, they're extremely accurate. Boom, right into the living room. That's the end of that cartel person. But we'll do whatever you need if you want. A lot of countries don't want to do that. They say, oh, sure, I'd rather not have that. I'd rather not have that. I believe they could be spoken to. I don't think so. Many of them don't want, and that's okay, too. You're going to do you. But if you need help, you're going to let us know, okay? Many of the cartels have developed sophisticated military operations, highly sophisticated. In some cases, they say they're more powerful than the military in the country. We can't have that. These brutal criminal organizations pose an unacceptable threat to national security, and they provide a dangerous gateway for foreign adversaries in our region. And we don't want them near our country either. We don't want them to come in. They're cancer, you know. They're cancer, and we don't want it spreading. We have a very strong border. You know, we have a border now where for 9 months, 0 people have been able to come through. It's hard to believe, actually, because we went from 25 million people coming in over the Sleepy Joe Biden, one of the worst presidents in history of the world. He was the worst president in the history of our country. We've had some pretty bad ones. Recently, we've had some pretty bad ones, but he's the worst. But he would go down as one of the worst in the world. I'm going to up his category now. It's horrible what he did. And what he didn't do was probably worse than what he did. Every leader here today is united in the conviction that we cannot and will not tolerate the lawlessness in our hemisphere any longer. The only way to defeat these enemies is by unleashing the power of our militaries. We have to use our military. You have to use your military. You can't fight these people with, and you have great police. You have some great police, but they threaten your police. They scare your police. You're going to use your military. In many cases, our forces have already been working closely with yours, and the United States looks forward to deepening and expanding that cooperation in the months ahead. And it's so good that we got to know so many of you. I mean, we're so many. And I'd love to get to your countries at some point. Marco loves going to your countries. He's always at one of these countries. He likes your countries the best, okay? You know, where are you? I'm in Chile. Oh, good. How's Chile doing? Good. He likes it. He feels very calm. We all like him, right? It helps. He's got a language. He's got a language advantage over me because I'm not learning your damn language. I don't have time. I was okay with languages, but I'm not going to spend time learning your language. That much I won't do. Just give me a good interpreter. Interpreter, very important. And I know if somebody's good. I may not speak the language, but I know I had an interpreter recently that wasn't good, talking to a very strong person from a different part of the world. And I could tell, even though I don't speak the language, I could tell the interpreter was not good. When you go, when I give a long, flowing, beautiful sentence, and in this case it was a woman, and she gave it in about 1/4 the time, I said, well, their language may be efficient, but it's not that efficient. And I could also tell when I have great interpreters. Interpreters are very important. You know, you have a bad interpreter, you think you're doing well? Boy, did I do a good job talking to this one or that. Was I great when I spoke to Putin today? Was I great when I spoke to President Xi? Was I great? But if the interpreter isn't speaking right, or is weak, or is ineffective, or is just not good, or not interpreting your words correctly. In one case, we had an interpreter who, when she disagreed with what we were saying, she actually changed it. We considered her a foreign minister, right? But no, the interpreter is, I talk about it all the time. Interpreters are really important. When you don't speak the language, they don't speak the language, people have no idea. People have no idea how valuable, and I'm on them all the time, people have no idea how valuable a good interpreter is. But over the last year, the world has witnessed the supreme power of the United States. We're the most powerful military country in the world. Again, I rebuilt it in my first, I spent so much time rebuilding it, over $1 trillion, and now we just had another budget. We may be going to $1.5 trillion. We're building a thing called the battleship, like in the old days, remember? We have a Secretary of the Navy, and he suggested, I've always said, why don't we have battleships anymore, shooting big bullets instead of, $3 million rockets? And they said, well, sir, we just don't have them. Nobody could give me the answer, but we're actually building 10 of them. And I said, you remember the old ones from, you'd see Victory at Sea, remember Victory at Sea? And you'd see these ships going through those waves like the waves were nothing, although the waves are pretty powerful. They knock out a lot of territory, but you'd see these incredible, they're pieces of art. Beautiful, most beautiful, the big battleships of the 1940s, right? Power. I said, well, would we ever want to bring them back? Because we have some of them. They're museums and other things. And they said, sir, the new ship is 100 times more powerful than what we were looking at with those guns and amazing, right? 100 times. I said, you sure it's not maybe 90 times? 100 times more powerful. And we're building 10 of them. Not to use them. We don't want to use them, but by having them, nobody's going to play games. So, yeah. Just good to have them. We don't want to use them. They'll say, oh, he's very militaristic. I'm the one that ended 8 wars. I'm the one that, and we have another one coming, I think. The easiest was that, and that was just, and as you would understand this, the hatred between Putin and his counterpart is so great, okay? It's so great that, Ukraine, Russia, you'd think there'd be a little bit of camaraderie, there's not. And the hatred is so great, it's very hard for them to get there. It's very, very hard to get there. So we'll see what happens, but we've been close a lot of times, and one or the other would back out. But we're losing, they're losing. It doesn't really affect us very much because we've got an ocean separating. I'm doing it as a favor to Europe, and I'm doing it as a favor to life, because they're losing 25,000 souls. Think of that every month, 25,000. Last month, 31,000, both sides, 31,000 people died, mostly soldiers. So I have an ability to get those things done, to bring people together, and I did great with so many. India, Pakistan, that was going to be a disaster. That was raging for a number of days. I did that through trade. I used tariffs and trade. And it was amazing. But we did amazing. One was 32 years, one was 34, and one was 37 years, and we got it done very quickly. And we'll get this one done too. But the hatred is, hatred's an amazing thing. People do bad things, and people don't get things done when the hatred is too great. That's a lot of it. Just as we formed a coalition to eradicate ISIS in the Middle East, we must now do the same thing to eradicate the cartels at home. So we did eradicate ISIS. Now, during the 4 years, we had a rigged election. You probably read about it, probably heard something. So it gave me 4 years to contemplate and to stage my comeback. I staged big comeback. They say it was a comeback. I didn't think it was a comeback because I had the people on my side. So I didn't view it as a comeback, but they did everything possible during that 4 years. They're crooked politicians, dirty cops. They're dirty cops. They did everything possible to make it impossible for me to win. And I won in a landslide. But during that period of time, I learned a lot. And I learned how you people, and I saw it so badly, how you're suffering with what's happening with the crime in the region. And I said, if we ever come back, we're going to eradicate that crime. And I'm going to work with you. And if you want, we're going to do it. We can do it pretty easily. As part of our commitment to countering the cartel presence in our region, we must recognize the epicenter of cartel violence is Mexico. The Mexican cartels are fueling and orchestrating much of the bloodshed and chaos in this hemisphere, and the United States government will do whatever is necessary to defend our national security and to protect the safety of the American people. No, look, it's coming through Mexico. And I like the president very much. She's a very good person. She's got a beautiful voice, a beautiful woman, but a beautiful voice. President. I said, let me eradicate the cartels. No, please, President. We have to eradicate them. We have to knock the hell out of them because they're getting worse. They're taking over that country. The cartels are running Mexico. We can't have that. Too close to us, too close to you. But everything comes in through Mexico, mostly. At the same time, all of us must recommit to ensuring that law and order within our own nations, and that includes showing zero tolerance for the gang activity, tremendous gang activity in Venezuela. That's in much better shape than it ever has been. We've developed a great relationship in Venezuela. The savages who murder and rape with impunity must be permanently removed from society. We must not allow our criminal justice systems to be corrupted so that they protect these criminals and animals at the expense of your people. And for some reason, all over the world, this is a region that has problems that other regions don't have. They have different problems, but they don't have this problem. The United States last year, we achieved the largest drop in murder rate in recorded history. We have the lowest murder rate in 125 years. Hard to believe because, I don't know, it's, we've got a lot of them out, but we allowed through the Biden policies and Obama, who was another terrible president, by the way. It was Barack Hussein Obama, terrible president. He was a divider, great divider. I call him the great divider. But they allowed a lot of people into our country that shouldn't be here, but in particular Biden, because Biden had no idea what he was doing. He had no clue. It was being run by whoever got near the auto pen was running the country. He was the auto pen president, and frankly, they let at least 25 million people come in to our country, some from prisons, some from mental institutions, gang members, the heads of gangs, the mentally insane. I'll tell you, people came in from mental institutions and insane asylums, and we took them. We had an open border policy. It's a policy divided and devised by idiots, but they pour it into our country. So we went from the worst border in history to by far the best border. We have the best, strongest border that we've ever had. We have great people that did that job. By securing our border and cracking down on traffickers and smugglers, we've reduced the fentanyl pouring across our border by 67%. This is in our first year, you know. Give me a little more time, we'll do better. 67%, which is a number that's unthinkable. You know, they say if you could do 2%, 1%, but we got it down 67%. And we got a lot of the murderers out. We had 11,888 murderers allowed in our country with this ridiculous open border policy that these eggheads put in. But we're also working closely with you on ending human smuggling and the implementing of the safe third country agreements, which are very important. In January, America's armed forces also ended the reign of one of the biggest cartel kingpins of all, with the Operation Absolute Resolve to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice in a precision raid that nobody's ever seen anything like it. This was in a very powerful military base, fort. And they went in and they took him out and they got him out, and people couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe it. We were right into the heart and took him out. And it was nasty. It was about 18 minutes of pure violence. And we took him out. We lost nobody. Not one person was lost. Not one aircraft or no military equipment, zero. People have never seen anything like it. And you're talking about into a military base with a lot of soldiers, good soldiers. Since that operation, we've been working closely with the new president of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, who's doing a great job working with us. I mean, she's doing a great job because she's working with us. If she wasn't working with us, I would not say she's doing a great job. In fact, if she wasn't working with us, I'd say she's doing a very poor job. Unacceptable. No, but she's doing a great job, Marco, right? And gets along great with Marco. And we're taking out tremendous amounts of oil. They're making more money now than they've ever made. We have the big oil companies in. They are making more money. We're getting some. They're getting a lot. They're making more money now than they've ever made in the history of their country. Can you imagine? And it's being spent properly, and they're watching it closely. And I'm pleased to say that this week we have formally recognized the Venezuelan government. We've actually legally recognized them. We have also just reached a historic gold deal. It's called the gold deal with Venezuela to allow our two countries to work together to facilitate the sale of Venezuelan gold and other minerals. They have great amounts of gold.
Thank you, Nieves, for the 250 jewels. Thank you so much.
Very good land.
Like and subscribe, guys.
But they weren't able to take advantage. The system didn't allow them to take advantage of the value of their land. As we achieve a historic transformation in Venezuela, we're also looking forward to the great change that will soon be coming to Cuba. Cuba's at the end of the line. They're very much at the end of the line. They have no money. They have no oil. They have a bad philosophy. They have a bad regime that's been bad for a long time. And they used to get the money from Venezuela. They get the oil from Venezuela. But they don't have any money from Venezuela. They don't have any oil. They don't have anything from... People can't even... They land in Cuba. They can't get gasoline to fly out. They have to leave their planes behind. And they want to negotiate, and they are negotiating with Marco and myself.
Let the one-offs cook. Let the one-offs cook.
And I would think a deal would be made very easily with Cuba. But for 50 years, I've been hearing, as a little boy, I'd be hearing about Cuba. You know, Cuba's a disaster. But I've been hearing so much about Cuba. But Cuba's in its last moments of life, as it was. It'll have a great new life, but it's in its last moments of life the way it is. And but our focus right now is on Iran. And we'll do that. I would say, what will you do? Take about 2 days off, Marco? No, he won't. Maybe an hour. He'll take 1 hour off, and then he'll finish up a deal on Cuba. That'll be an easy one. But it'll be the entire region that we're doing that. Many of you have come today and they say, I hope you can take care of Cuba because you've had problems with Cuba, right? You mentioned, I was surprised, but 4 of you said, actually, could you do us a favor? Take care of Cuba. I'll take care of it, okay? So, and as these situations in Venezuela and Cuba should make clear under our new doctrine, and it is a doctrine, we will not allow hostile foreign influence to gain a foothold in this hemisphere. That includes the Panama Canal, which we talked about. We're not going to allow it. And together we'll protect our sovereignty, our security, and our cherished freedom and independence. And just in finishing up, the nations gathered here today are filled with unlimited potential. You have tremendous potential. It's a great part of the world. But to fulfill that tremendous potential, we must smash the grip of the cartels and criminal gangs and horrible organizations run by, in some cases, absolute animals, and truly liberate our people. And some people are afraid to do it because they've gotten such a foothold. But I think you can get out of that, and we'll work with you if you need. With the courage and resolve of the leaders in this room, great leaders will make our nation safer, stronger, richer, and more successful than ever before. So I want to thank you all very much for coming. I look forward to the incredible progress that's soon to come. You're going to see some incredible things. And now I'd like to ask Secretary Rubio and Secretary Hegseth to say a few words, and then I'll sign a proclamation formally launching the America's Counter Cartel Coalition, which is what it is. It's a counter cartel coalition. And thank you all for being here very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, T, for the jewel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank all the leaders that are here today. I'll be very brief. First of all, Mr. President, thank you for making this region a priority. We've had successive American presidents say that the Western Hemisphere is going to be a priority, and they never do it. And the President has made it a personal priority. He's also a president of action. It's why I believe he will go down as the most historic figure, one of the most historic figures in American history, and certainly of the last 100 years, because of what he has been able to do and is doing right now with the Western Hemisphere. Thank you for your bold leadership. It's an honor to be able to serve in your administration. And, Mr. President, 2 points I want to make. The first is we have a lot of allies around the world, and we are grateful for our allies. And the countries represented here today, all 12 of the leaders here, are allies. But they're more than allies. They're friends. At a time when we have learned that oftentimes an ally, when you need them, maybe may not be there for you. These are countries that have been there for us, and these are leaders that are not just allies, they are friends. And they are always willing to work and cooperate with the United States, and we're grateful to them. And as you said, Mr. President, these are also countries with extraordinary potential. Some are fulfilling it, some are well on their way to fulfilling it. And this is important. We want to be a partner with you in that. We want the world to see that when you are a friend and an ally of the United States, it is a good thing. It's reciprocated. It comes back the other way as well. And so the fact the President is here today and making this a priority is so critical. If I may, because some of these cameras cover in Spanish. You all right? Oh, good. Please. We don't need an interpreter for this one. Quiero darle las gracias. I think I'm a good interpreter. You'll find out in a second. But las gracias a los países que están aquí hoy. Estos países, primero, el presidente ha hecho esta región una prioridad en su administración. Hay muchos presidentes que han dicho que lo van a hacer, pero él lo ha hecho.
Thank you,
for the jewel. Y muy agradecido a los 12 países que están aquí hoy. Estos son países que no solamente son aliados, son amigos. Son países que siempre responden cuando hay una necesidad y trabajan en conjunto con nosotros, y queda mucho por hacer. Estos son países que tienen una gran población, mucho potencial, y queremos ser sus socios en desarrollar sus países, sus economías y su seguridad. Y le doy las gracias de verdad por estar aquí en el día de hoy con nosotros. Que Dios bendiga a todos esos países, a los Estados Unidos, y gracias como siempre por la cooperación. Seguiremos trabajando en conjunto y vamos a hacer cosas muy buenas, muy importantes para esta región, que van a hacer que en las generaciones futuras nos van a agradecer la labor que estamos haciendo en el momento de hoy. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Like and subscribe, guys. Over 3,000 people in the building. Thank you so much.
Is he better in Spanish or in English? I think he's better in Spanish. I mean, it's great. Pete, please.
Thank you, sir. Mr. President, I only speak American.
Secretary of War Pete Hegseth.
Well, Mr. President, it's an honor to be here and to establish in this hemisphere peace through strength. For far too long, our country's gaze was only on borders in far-flung places. Not our own border, not our own hemisphere, not the Western Hemisphere. President Trump has established the Trump corollary of the Monroe Doctrine, the Monroe Doctrine. And the War Department is implementing it as fast as we can. In fact, 2 days ago, Mr. President, we launched 18 countries were signatories to the America's Counter Cartel Coalition, ACCC, which is not just an organization that's going to hold conferences and release white papers. That's not what we exist to do. It's an action coalition of like-minded countries who are going to bring their capabilities to bear with American leadership at the forefront to ensure we attack and get after this cartel challenge, which for far too long we have accepted as some new normal in our own countries. President Trump and the American people rejected that in our own. We don't have to live with communities flooded with drugs or violence or cartels and gangs. We can seal our border, and we have to for our citizens. We share a hemisphere and geography. We share cultures, Western Christian civilization. We share these things together. We have to have the courage to defend it. And we have a commander-in-chief in our country who's set that compass heading. And at the War Department, we look forward to working with all of your countries and more that are not here to say, with our shared assets and our intelligence and our capabilities, with American leadership, we will go on offense against the cartels.
Likes, guys. Thank you so much.
They will know that we're just around the corner. Whether it's drug boats or on land, we look. The America's Counter Cartel Coalition, the ACCC, will be a force for good, for peace through strength in this hemisphere. And we look forward to working with your great countries. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Would you like to come up and surround us here? Thank you.
So there is the signing of this act here. Contact the group. And from here, we are going to jump over to another story that we have about Khomeini revenge inside the IRGC and a Mossad spy. Let's see what this is about.
In recent days, intense speculation has spread across regional media and social networks about the fate of Esmail Qani, the commander of Iran's elite Quds force. The reports emerged in the chaotic aftermath of the reported death of Iran's longtime supreme leader.
This live stream already has over 250,000 views. Thank you for joining me today, guys. I really appreciate it.
Ali Khamenei, which some outlets say occurred during a joint US-Israeli strike targeting senior Iranian leadership in Tehran. While these claims remain disputed and many details are still unverified, the rumors have fueled a dramatic narrative about internal suspicion, intelligence leaks, and a possible purge within Iran's powerful security apparatus. At the center of the controversy is Qani, a veteran Iranian general who has led the Quds force.
We're going to put this on hold because we're going live to the White House right now.
I have this done almost immediately.
This is live from the White House.
So I'd like to thank you all for being here. I'd like to invite Vice President Vance to say a few words, followed by Secretaries Rubio, Burgum, and Wright. And then we'll have a few words from representatives that are here and to discuss their ideas, a couple of them. We have Chevron, which has been, where's Chevron? Where are you?
Far right.
No, I thought you'd have a better location. You were the only one that was there for all that. I used to call you and say, what the hell is going on with Venezuela? He stuck it out. I don't know if you made money or not, but you stuck it out. I got to give you a lot of credit for that. Mark Nelson, thank you very much. Exxon CEO Darren Woods. Darren, thank you very much. How's Exxon doing? Okay? They'll do a lot better now, won't they, huh? Exxon's been amazing. It's been an amazing company. And ConocoPhillips CEO Ryan Lance, thank you very much. So you guys could say something, and then we'll take some questions from the
live
press.
briefing from the White House.
If anybody else would like to speak, we'll
Welcome,
have you speak.
everybody.
We have all the time in the world. This is a big subject. This is massive wealth And more importantly than massive wealth, it leads to lower taxes and a lot of jobs for Americans and for Venezuelans, but for Americans in this case. And I just, again, appreciate you all being here. And I'd like to ask JD to say a few words, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. And thanks to everybody for being here. You know, as a Marine Corps veteran for my entire lifetime, presidents, let's be honest, they were Democrats and Republicans,
we are live at
would
the
send
White
the
House.
American military to far-off places. They would get us involved in these endless quagmires. They would lose hundreds or thousands of American lives, and the American people would get nothing out of these misadventures. And now you have an American president who's empowered the American military to stop the flow of drugs into our country and to ensure that we, as opposed to our adversaries, control one of the great energy reserves that exist anywhere in the entire world. And he did it without losing a single American life in the process. It was an amazing operation. It's going to make our country richer. It's going to make our country more powerful. It's going to make our country safer. And it's going to lead to the decline, the further decline of drug overdose deaths in the United States of America. An amazing thing, and I'm happy to be here to talk about how we can make it an even bigger and better operation for the American people. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Marco?
Thank you, Mr. President. And I think this is a reminder that everything this president does, everything President Trump does is with the American people in mind. It was not in the national interest or national security of the United States and of our people to have in our own hemisphere a country, not just with vast energy reserves, but controlled by an indicted narco trafficker who flooded our country with illegal immigration, including drug gang members, openly cooperated with drug gangs, and by the way, stole the wealth of our country to fund a repressive regime and also benefit adversaries such as Iran. All of that is now changing. As part of this process, the first phase, of course, is the phase we're in now, which is the stabilization phase. We do not want to see destabilization in the country. We're working very cooperatively with the interim authorities there to provide a market for the sale of the wealth of Venezuela in such a way that benefits the people, both of the United States, but also the people of Venezuela. And as a reminder to everyone, the president announced this just 2 days ago. Every penny, everything they buy with the money that they're making from the oil now, Mr. President, will be bought from America. And that includes everything from equipment for the oil industry to food to medicine to everything in between. The second will be a phase of recovery, and then some of these phases will interlap, and that is to have a normal economy again where the money goes to the benefit of people, not the benefit of our adversaries or the benefit of elements in that country and around the world that are against our interests, at the same time as a process of reconciliation has to happen internally among the different sectors of society and politics and the like. And finally, the third phase, which is the most important of the three, is when the country fully transitions into a normal country that we have strong economic and diplomatic and relations with, that is friendly towards the United States, that's not a foothold for our adversaries, that serves our interests, but also the interests of the people. It'll be a country that is wealthy, a country that is prosperous for the people, not for a handful of criminals, but also a country that is supportive of our interests in the region and throughout the world. And we thank you, Mr. President, and the team you've assembled that have brought us to this point. A lot of work remains, important work, but this is historic.
Okay. Thank you very much. Doug? Well,
and before we get there, we're going to go back to this breaking spy story, and then we're going to jump back into that White House briefing.
Since 2020. The Quds Force is the external operations arm of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, responsible for coordinating Tehran's network of allied groups across the Middle East. These include organizations such as Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, and several.
So there's rumors of this execution of this individual who is said to be a Mossad agent. So that's a pretty wild story that is coming out, and we will get to more of that later. Let's hear a little more about this briefing.
Secured the border, we're stopping the flow of drugs, and now with the normalization of relationships on an economic basis, it's going to mean tremendously for the prosperity of the American people. So I just want to say again, congratulations to you and to the entire leadership team. It's been an amazing, historic week on the scale of things that we haven't seen perhaps for 125 years in terms of the U.S. Exerting its influence over Latin America in a way that's going to make a change for generations.
running live.
And on behalf of all the oil executives that are here today, Chris and I want to say thank you to all of you. It's your technology, your innovation that has put America in the place where today we are the most energy dominant country in the world. And that position is what's allowed us to take the action that we're taking with statecraft, with military action. None of that would happen if we were dependent on everybody else for energy. So you're a big part of the reason that we're able to move the way we are today, and we're grateful that you're here to be part of the solution going forward.
Thank you, Doug, and you are doing a fantastic job, and we appreciate it. Everybody appreciates it. They know who's doing well. Chris Wright?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, what we've seen in the last week is leadership matters and credibility matters. Venezuelan oil has been sanctioned for many years, and the oil just flew, those sanctions were not enforced. That oil just floated out to trafficked by bad actors of the world. The resources weren't gone to a central place. The corruption and decline of Venezuela has been a crisis for the people of Venezuela, and as Secretary Rubio said, massive spillover effects in the United States, in crime, in drugs, in kidnappings, and in taking a huge resource base and making it not exploited, not developed. The whole world is a poorer, less opportunity-rich place because of that. When you have materials underground, they've been underground for 1 million years. That does not make them a resource. That does not make them valuable for your country, your people, or the world. They only become a resource with technology, with capital, with rule of law, and a system of governance that encourages the harvesting of those resources to make the better world. And we see here the dramatic contrast between the United States, which may have less oil underground than Venezuela. We have 20 times the production of Venezuela, 20 times the impact of human betterment, massively better quality of living here in the United States. That was at risk under the last administration. We've seen a lot of attacks on the energy that makes the world go round. President Trump's election has removed those risks, has embraced reality about how the world is energized, and we are at record production of oil in the United States, record production in natural gas in the United States. We've seen a meaningful decline in gasoline prices, diesel prices, travel prices because of jet fuel. And now President Trump is taking the genius of a different way to try to solve a 25-year festering problem in Venezuela, that all the traditional things have not worked. But ordering both a tremendous military operation to remove the heads of a criminal organization masquerading as a government, and then to use the power of our military, not to fire bullets, but to stop the flow of Venezuelan oil to the world, immediately gave us leverage over the interim authorities in Venezuela and has allowed us to be in this position today where the actions of this government can massively improve Venezuela for the better, and the bigger impact is to massively improve the quality of life, affordability, safety, and security of the United States. Very proud to be here. And we'll turn it over to Mark Nelson, who's the vice chairman of Chevron. Chevron has been in Venezuela for over 100 years, continuously. Mike Wirth, the CEO, had a knee replacement recently. He's not here. Mark is a tremendous leader in our industry.
We hear you.
And I'll turn it over to him.
Thank you, Secretary Wright. Again, I'll send Mike Wirth's regrets. He really wanted to be here, Mr. President.
Right. Great guy.
On his behalf, I have 3 very quick thank yous and an assurance I'd like to provide you all. The first thank you, Mr. President, is to you. It's thank you for convening this gathering. It's thank you for your leadership, and thank you for continuing to keep American energy domination in the forefront. So thank you.
American energy domination. That's something I haven't heard before. The second thank you
actually is to the captain.
Has anybody heard that before? American energy domination? That's the first time I've heard that phrase.
So Secretary Rubio, Secretary Burgum, Secretary Wright, your ability and commitment to continue to engage with the parties around the table to keep the world working is greatly appreciated. So thank you for that. And the final thank you actually would go to our Venezuelan employees of Chevron. They have been working tirelessly to operate safely, protect the environment in country. And their dedication and skill will help us in this next chapter. And finally, I'll close with the assurance. For more than a century, Chevron has been a part of Venezuela's past. We are certainly committed to its present, and we very much look forward as a proud American company to help it build a better future. And so, Mr. President, thank you for your leadership.
And you really suffered there. You stuck it out. A lot of people left. A lot of big companies left. Many of the people sitting at this table left because of the safety risk and other risks. But you stuck it out. I give you credit for that. Sometimes it was hard. I remember 6 months ago I told you to stay, just stay. Things are going to happen. You'll be very happy. I didn't know they were going to happen this fast or this conclusively. One thing I think everyone has to know is that if we didn't do this, China or Russia would have done it. And if China or Russia were a next-door neighbor, because essentially this is not around the other parts of the world so far away where you fly in an airplane for 24 hours before you get there. This is sort of a next-door neighbor, if you think about it. And I told China and I told Russia, we get along with you very well. We like you very much. We don't want you there. Not going to be there. And if we didn't do this, China would have been there and Russia would have been there. Maybe they both would have been there together, but they're not going to be there now.
300,000
thing I will
views.
tell
Thank
them,
you so much,
and I will
everybody,
tell
for joining
you
me today.
that we are open for business.
Like and subscribe.
China can buy all the oil they want from us.
China.
There or in the United States.
China.
Russia can get all the oil they need from us. And they do like oil, even though they produce a lot of it. But China and Russia and everybody else is able to go, and we'll be open for business almost immediately. I have a feeling the $100 million will be spent $100 billion will be spent very, very rapidly by these very big, powerful, and rich companies. And I think they're going to be able to rebuild the infrastructure. And I hope it's going to be brand new as opposed to a rehab, because I know the tremendous difference between the new and the not so new in your industry. The new is
we are waiting on the dignified transfer of American soldiers right now.
Actually, much smaller. It's like everything else, gets smaller and stronger. It's a combination of smaller, better, and stronger. So I hope you're going to build all brand new stuff, rip out the old crap that's been there for so many years, and do it the right way. You're going to be there a long time. If we make a deal, you're going to be there a long time. If we don't make a deal, you won't be there at all. It's sort of interesting. But again, China and Russia would have been there if we didn't do this. And the other thing people ask about the second wave, I don't think it's going to be necessary. We have an armada, a giant armada like nobody's ever seen in that part of the world. And it's stationed off the coast. And we are getting along so well with the people that are involved and representing Venezuela that I don't think we're going to have any I don't think it's going to be necessary to do the second wave. We were planning on a second wave, but the first wave was so powerful and so good and so strong. And frankly,
it's called a dignified transfer.
In the country, they did the right thing. They were smart. They did the right thing. They didn't want to go through a second wave. But we've got a tremendous number of the most powerful ships in the world right there. I don't think we're going to have to use that. I'm happy to say that. I don't think we're going to have to use that at all. If I could ask Chevron, you did a great job. I want to thank you. And ExxonMobil, if you would say a few words, and then followed by Conoco, great companies, massive companies, great companies. Exxon, please.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate the invitation and the opportunity, frankly, for the entire industry to show up and provide a perspective. Frankly, we've been kind of unresponsive to the press regarding Venezuela, but I guess today's the opportunity to address the press directly with respect to a number of questions that have been asked of ExxonMobil. First and foremost, obviously, is the interest that we have in Venezuela. And I think, the way I would position that, I think one of the reasons why we see many of the industry players here is we're in a depletion business for a product that is in great demand and will be in demand for many, many, many decades to come. And as a depletion business, the biggest challenge we have is finding resources. There's an opportunity in Venezuela with all the resources there is we don't have that challenge of finding, we have the challenge of developing those resources. So I think it's in the best interest of these companies and frankly society as a whole for the industry to be interested in understanding what the opportunity here represents. I'll just share a philosophy that ExxonMobil has when we enter countries, because we do business all around the world in a number of different regimes. We take a very long-term perspective. The investments that we make span decades and decades, so we do not go into any opportunity with a short-term mindset. And there's a value proposition that we have to meet. It has to be a win-win-win proposition. Obviously, it has to be a win for the company and our shareholders and to generate a return for the investments that we make. It has to be a win for the government. The resources are an important source of revenue that helps support the people of the places that we do business. And it has to be a win for the people. We have to be wanted there and to be a good neighbor. And those three things ensure a stable, long-term platform for the large investments that we make for the long term. With respect to Venezuela in particular, we have a very long history in Venezuela. In fact, we first got into Venezuela back in 1940s. We've had our assets seized there twice. And so you can imagine to re-enter a third time would require some pretty significant changes from what we've historically seen here and what is currently the state. If we look at the legal and commercial constructs and frameworks in place today in Venezuela, today it's uninvestable. And so significant changes have to be made to those commercial frameworks, the legal system. There has to be durable investment protections, and there has to be a change to the hydrocarbon laws in the country. We're confident that with this administration and President Trump working hand in hand with the Venezuelan government, that those changes can be put in place. And with respect to the Venezuelan government, that perspective we don't have a view on. We haven't talked to the Venezuelan government, and obviously we have yet to assess the people's perspective with respect to ExxonMobil entering the country. In the short term, there are things that can be done while these longer-term issues are being worked. For us, we haven't been in the country for almost 20 years. We think it's absolutely critical in the short term that we get a technical team in place to assess the current state of the industry and the assets, to understand what would be involved to help the people of Venezuela get production back on the market. With the invitation of the Venezuelan government and with appropriate security guarantees, we are ready to put a team on the ground there. We also have a integrated set of capabilities from production to refining to trading, and I think we can be of assistance to getting the Venezuelan crude to market and realizing a market price to help, again, with the financial situation in Venezuela. So those are my short-term perspective that I have. I'd say maybe close with a thank you, Mr. President, for the work that you've done to secure not only the national security, but the energy security of the region. And then thank you, Secretary Rubio, Secretary Wright, Secretary Burgum, for your leadership in this matter. Thank you.
How long would it take you, Darren, as Exxon to, if we make a deal?
We're going to go from here. We're going to come back to this in just a little bit. We're going to jump over to an interview with Benjamin Netanyahu. This is going to be interesting.
Mr. Prime Minister, thank you for being here. I know
Very
you probably
recently.
have gotten very little sleep in the last number of days. Why now? What precipitated this moment at this time?
Who are you?
I know you have talked about it. We've known each other 30, 35, maybe more years.
Hit that like button. Let's get this video to 600 likes. Thank you, guys.
Was this necessary?
Well, the first thing to understand is why it's necessary at any time. Iran, for 47 years, has been chanting death to America, death to Israel too. But you're the big Satan, we're the small Satan. Death to America. They've murdered and maimed thousands of Americans in Iraq and Afghanistan with their IEDs. These are roadside bombs. They bombed your embassies. They tried to assassinate Donald Trump, the President of the United States, twice. They've murdered their own people. They massacred so many. And they spread a worldwide web of terror. So this is a regime committed to destroying the United States of America. It's the only country on the planet that says so openly and works tirelessly to achieve that goal. The reason that we had to act now is because they were, after we hit their nuclear sites and their ballistic missiles program, you'd think they learned a lesson, but they didn't, because they're unreformable. They're totally fanatic about this, about the goal of destroying America. So they started building new sites new places, underground bunkers, that would make their ballistic missile program and their atomic bomb programs immune within months. If no action was taken now, no action could be taken in the future. And then they could target America, they could blackmail America, they could threaten us and threaten everyone in between. So action had to be taken, and you needed a resolute president like Donald J. Trump to take that action. And we are his very strong and able partners, and our alliance today is so strong. We had to take the action now, and we did. Otherwise, the Iranian mass murder regime would have immunity from future action.
Steve Witkoff made this statement, the Middle Eastern envoy, and he made it last week, that they absolutely are clinging to their ability to build out a nuclear weapons program. And the president, as he said, he wanted a peace deal, gave them every opportunity for peace, like they did before Operation Midnight Hammer.
Oops.
And
Changed
they
that
steadfastly
playbook.
refused. In the first 30 seconds, I've never seen anything like this in my life. The supreme leader, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and his top 40 leaders were wiped out, Ahmadinejad among them. That is incredible intelligence, and wow, I'm sure this will be studied for centuries to come, not decades.
Well, you know, when America, the indispensable ally for Israel and the greatest power in the world, and Israel, America's model ally, as the National Security Council just called it, when we work together, amazing things happen. We worked together and amazing things happened. But I have to tell you that it wouldn't happen without the leadership of President Trump, because he just, you know, I met him in Mar-a-Lago. You may remember this because I think you live close by, and I saw you at that time, right before his re-election, okay? Or before he was inaugurated the second time. And we met in Mar-a-Lago. And the first thing that Donald Trump said to me, he said, you know, we have to prevent Iran from getting nukes.
Thank you, Sandra, for the jewels. Thank you so much.
He said that because he saw that as a clear and present danger to the security and well-being of the United States. To have a regime like that, so fanatic, that it just defines itself by destroying America, exporting revolution, exporting terrorism, exporting the worst Islamist fanaticism that attacks Arabs, attacks Israelis, attacks Americans, attacks everyone in sight. They just fired now their ballistic in sight around in the Middle East, including Cyprus and Europe. To have a regime like that, that plans to eradicate the United States, have the weapons of mass death, would have been the greatest threat that America would face in the coming decades. And so he said to me right off the bat, I didn't say to him, he said to me, we have to make sure they never get the nukes. And that's what he did. We tried first to take them out in Midnight Hammer and Rising Lion operation, and we took out their missile sites, but then they started again, their missile and nuclear sites. They didn't learn the lesson. He tried to get negotiations. He negotiated with them. They didn't get it. They tried to string him along. So action had to be taken, and we took it.
President Trump repeated over and over and over again, and I would argue that the leadership that is now dead was a death cult and an existential threat, not just to the region, not just to Israel, death to America, but I am very convinced and have been convinced, as you have been for decades, that if they ever got nuclear weapons, that they would, you know, along with their fanaticism, it would cause them to use it. That is what that death cult would cause them to do. Is this now the culmination of decades of your work and your belief and your passion that these radicals needed to be defeated? And what is next for Iran? You know, we talk, well, the regime's changed, but we don't know into what yet. What are your thoughts?
Well, you're right. I did have spoken about it for decades, and I try to persuade successive American administrations to take firm action. And President Trump, in his first term, did. He got out of the disastrous Iran deal right off the bat, and he did everything he could to prevent them from going into the nuclear program that they seek to build atomic bombs to threaten us and you, and ultimately to attack both of us and to destroy as much as they can, because this is what these people do. They basically are in the business of mass death, and you're right to call them a death cult. I worked with several presidents. I always appreciated the fact that we had, well, forthright discussions. Often we agreed, but often we didn't. We disagreed. And I appreciated that we kept the alliance going. But I want to tell you something. I'm not a youngster, so I've been around. There's never been a president like Donald J. Trump. His resoluteness, his decisiveness, his clarity of thinking, the way he gets right to the crux of things. It cuts through all the fluff, cuts through the chase, gets down to the main point, and it gets down to the main action that needs to be taken. And I think for Israel, and I think for the countries of the free world, let me tell you, I think for the world, we're very lucky to have.
Put a 1 in the chat if you support Israel. Put a 2 in the chat if you do not. I'm curious to see your guys' opinion. I'd love to have the chat check in. Put a 1 if you support Israel. Put a 2 if you do not. Let's hear it.
Him as the leader of the free world, and in fact, the leader of the world. He's brought America back to being the leader of the world, and it makes a huge difference. And I can tell, I'm talking to America's allies in the region, just one by one by one. And I can't quote from these conversations, but I can tell you they all share this, and they all say, thank God that Donald Trump is here. Thank God that the two of you are acting together to remove this threat, not only to you, but to us. And Iran today just bombed with these ballistic missiles, these weapons of mass death, these weapons of terror. They're terror weapons. They bombed all these countries. They bombed Cyprus, which is Europe. I've said it won't take very long. They're bombing us, then they'll bomb Europe, and when they develop the intercontinental ballistic missiles and the nuclear wars to fit on these ballistic missiles, they'll threaten you, and eventually they'll bomb you. This is what President Trump understood. And alone among U.S. presidents that I've worked with, he took action. And we're all very, very lucky that he did.
I think that history will, through the prism of history, he will be viewed very favorably by recognizing a threat. In the last century, you're a historian, Mr. Prime Minister, you know, between Mao, China, Stalin, Russia, Hitler, Germany, Mussolini, fascism, Tojo, Japan, Pol Pot, the killing fields, estimated over 100 million human souls slaughtered in the name of some ism. Now we see a president and a prime minister partnering together to stop a threat before it emerges and becomes unstoppable, which I got to give you both so much credit for. It is transformational. It is consequential. I guess I want to look forward a little bit. We had in his first term the Abraham Accords. I know that there are countries in your region of the world that have been looking for a window of opportunity. I'm talking about the likes of Saudi Arabia and the UAE and Dubai and Egypt and Jordan, et cetera. Do you see a path to a long-lasting peace in the region, which we've not seen in forever?
Yes, I do. In fact, I hear the people are saying we're going to have an endless war here. You're not going to have an endless war, because we are at this point that we've been, and Iran, this terror regime in Iran is the weakest point that it's been here since it hijacked Iran from the brave Iranian people 47 years ago. So this is going to be a quick and decisive action, and we're going to create the conditions first for the Iranian people to get control of their destiny, to form their own democratically elected government, which will make Iran a different Iran altogether, because Iran has been the main engine of war over these years. It's just 95% of all the problems you see in the Middle East are generated by Iran. And the worldwide terror network that they built is generated and orchestrated from Iran. So when you take away Iran, when you let the people of Iran have the opportunity to act, to liberate themselves, free themselves from the yoke of this terror machine, you get a different future. I think that will open up the way for many peace treaties with other Arab countries, with Muslim countries, I think it changes the world. Now, of course, it's up to the people of Iran in the final count to change the government. But we are creating, America and Israel together are creating the conditions for them to do so. I think that if we go through what we plan to do, I think it will create conditions for peace. This is not an endless war. This is, in fact, something that will usher in an era of peace that we haven't even.
You think this will be an endless war?
You know, the president said to the people of Iran, the hour of freedom is at hand. And, you know, you've been asking America for years to do this, and now your window is here. You know, seize this moment. Don't let it pass. It might be the only opportunity you have in a generation, and I'm hopeful that that's true. In a conversation with Senator Lindsey Graham, he said to me that he believes that probably one of the key countries in all of this would be Saudi Arabia and MBS. Do you specifically see Pat there?
We're going to time you out if you suggest any violence in here. We're just not doing that.
Yeah, well,
we ain't doing that. Sorry.
I think Saudi Arabia will have a lot to gain. I think all these countries
no
around
violent
Iran
in the chat.
are threatened by Iran.
Or
I think
suggestion.
they want to see this regime go down.
Grow
even
up.
if they don't publicly say that. They've just been targeted by Iran. So obviously, if Iran is removed, that's a great boon to Saudi Arabia, a great boon to these other countries. And I think peace between Israel and Saudi Arabia would be really possible and probably very close once this thing happens. So this is a gateway for peace, for a broader peace. And I believe that we can achieve it. The most important thing to understand is that when we work together, President Trump and I, we achieved, in fact, 4 breakthroughs for peace, brokered by President Trump, working together with me. We brought forward the Abraham Accords, which was 4 peace treaties with 4 Arab countries. And now, working together against Iran, we'll be able to bring many, many more peace treaties. So this is not an endless war. This is a gateway to peace. It's the exact opposite of what people are saying.
Mr. Prime Minister, I think history will study this military effort, and it'll be, as I said, be studied for centuries. But, you know, also you took out their air defense systems, their missile defense system, ballistic missile systems. You know, you got the 10. So
we're going to get back to this. We have
security, but there's so much more here, as you've seen from so much more we can
luncheon here that is taking place right now.
The cabinet members that are here today. Again, on behalf of the president, he is currently on his way to Dover Air Force Base to receive, sadly, the remains of the 6 Americans who lost their lives in the operation.
So that's what a dignified transfer is. We're going to be keeping an eye on that. Let's just finish this one up.
Top guys in Hamas. You got Nasrallah, who'd been in power for 30 some odd years. You had the pager incident. Donald Trump dropped 14 bunker buster bombs and took out and obliterated their nuclear facilities. I mean, I know there's war colleges. Just all of these incidents combined will be a lifetime worth of study, in my view. And I want to ask you this, you know, there are people that say, well, the Prime Minister of Israel dragged Donald Trump into it. And as somebody that's been friends with him over 30 years, nobody drags Donald Trump into anything, number one, but I want to get your reaction to that.
Well, you're right. I mean, that's ridiculous. Donald Trump is the strongest leader in the world. He does what he thinks is right for America. He does also what he thinks is right for future generations. And frankly, we're partners in that effort because I've devoted my life to securing the life of the one and only Jewish state. And believe me, it's been a struggle. I've known the pangs of war. I lost a brother in war and in battle. I myself fought terrorists and was wounded in liberating hostages from hijacked
Welcome,
plane.
Canadians. Welcome. Hey, let me know where you're viewing from. Put in the chat where you're viewing from. Everybody around the world, let me know.
A fellow soldier in my arms.
I appreciate you being here.
When I was 18 and he died in my arms. I know the cost of war, but I know sometimes that war is necessary to protect us from the people who would destroy us. And that's what free societies have to understand. Freedom is precious, but it has to be protected. And we have to understand that we're fighting here We're fighting here the bad guys. We're the good guys. These people massacred their own people. Imagine what they would do, these people who chant death to America, if they had the ballistic missiles and the nuclear warheads to deliver to every American city. Do you want to wait? Do you want to bet your future on whether they would do it or they would not do it? I mean, look, nobody stopped North Korea.
Welcome to everybody from across the United States and around the world. So glad to have you. Welcome.
But they don't say death to America. Iran is 50 North Koreas. Iran is committed to your destruction. And whether people understand it or not, the leader has to understand it. Donald Trump understands it. You don't have to drag him into anything. And nobody would do it anyway. He does what he thinks is right, and this is right. And let me tell you, I visited today a town in Israel, okay? This town, yesterday, a ballistic missile, it's like a truck, you know, it's like a bus full of TNT, comes in at Mach 8 and slams right into a synagogue, okay? And right around there, 9 people murdered. So here's the difference between us. These mass murderers in Tehran, they target civilians. We in Israel and America target the mass terrorists. That's a nutshell of the difference. And we have to protect our world against these people. And if these people have the weapons of mass death, these mass murderers, then you'll have mass death. And then people will ask, well, why didn't you act in time? Why didn't you do something about it? You know, Winston Churchill called this the slumber of democracies. He said they slumber, they go to sleep, and they wake up only when the jarring gong of danger wakes them up. Well, I think in this case, President Trump and I think differently. We don't have to sleep. We don't have to slumber. We don't have to look askance, look aside and say there is no danger. There is great danger, and it's time to act. The good guys need to act early enough. And there are those leaders, so-called leaders, who don't see it. And they just sit back and they say, oh, well, it's a terrible thing. No, it's not a terrible thing. To protect humanity, to protect America, to protect Israel, to protect the free world from this theological thuggery, these fanatics who don't care, who just export death, mass death everywhere, build terror armies to strangle the people of Lebanon and the people of Gaza and the people of other people. That's what they do. So to act against them is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. And it's high time that the people of free societies understood that they have to act to protect their freedom and our way of life. We're fighting barbarians. Israel is at the front line of this battle against barbarism, and America under President Trump has entered this fight to protect our civilization and to protect our common future.
Well, I hope the people in Europe are listening, and very specifically Macron in France and the leader in Spain. And I can tell you this, a Starmer is no Winston Churchill.
So that is the end of that interview there. We're going to cut back to the White House luncheon. Kristi Noem is speaking, looks like about her new gig.
Ourselves and our strengths. We have worked and are proud of the Department of War with the conference that many of you just attended the last few days, and we'll continue to do that. We want our hemisphere to be safer, to be more sovereign, and to be more prosperous. And looking forward to working with you on all of that. The first objective will be not just on sovereignty, but also migration control, that we will work on economic prosperity. We'll have and reverse these harmful foreign influences that have come into many of our businesses, our technologies, and we've seen infiltrate different areas of our way of life. That will be my objective every day.
Later. We're going to do that
I will, when the
later.
Press leaves, give you all my personal cell phone number so that you can reach me at any time that you may need something, and we'll work together to continue to make sure that our relationship is a shield to the Americas, that this will be a Western Hemisphere that is better, safer, more prosperous, and more free because of the leadership that all of you provide. So thank you to Secretary Rubio for hosting this and having the vision to bring us all together. I think this will be something that for years to come will bring more security to our nations.
All right, we did want to play out those very brief comments from Kristi Noem as well as Secretary of State Marco Rubio as they had that event earlier today in Florida.
7 days into the Iran war, the
The United States has given Tehran an ultimatum as the capital suffers its heaviest bombardment yet. The death toll rising again as Iran launches new strikes, and Lebanon is pounded in a devastating attack.
Wiped out by 50 fighter jets with 100 bombs. The Tehran bunker of Iran's dead supreme leader, still used by officials until now. Across the Iranian capital, day and night, the onslaught relentless. Locals claim it's the heaviest bombing since the war started a week ago. Here, an underground base for missile launchers and Iranian defence. The US president today demanding unconditional surrender.
Our military is doing phenomenally.
Iran's death toll so far, an estimated 1,332 people. Bodies still being hauled from the rubble of homes. Their war at an end, but Iran's battling on. Firing into neighbouring Iraq, taking out Kurdish bases. As Iran hit another Iraqi target, US-owned oil company Halliburton. Iran is still sending rockets and drones into Israel, Iron Dome on red alert. Interceptors protecting IDF headquarters in Tel Aviv as Israel turns attention north. Downtown Beirut, entire buildings pulverised. The hunt for Hezbollah raging on. Israel says these are terrorist command centres in the heart of the Lebanese capital, used to organise military attacks. For Lebanese locals, just more misery. So we're on Lebanon's southernmost border right now, and in fact, that village over there, decimated as it is, behind that concrete wall, that's in Lebanon. And what the Israeli army are trying to do right now is create a border buffer zone and push Hezbollah as far to the north as it's physically possible. It's no man's land, but the Israeli army says the area is still crawling with Hezbollah. At an army media briefing nearby, warning alarms sound.
Go inside.
And we're forced to take cover. So in the middle of a press briefing, we just got an alarm going that there's a drone making its way in this area right now. For a few anxious minutes, military and media huddle as it passes. But as the briefing gets underway again...
Ma? Come, we're gonna go inside again.
The attack drone returns. When the Chief of Staff for 769 Brigade resumes, questions on the extent of their bombing campaign through Lebanon. People are saying, are you about to turn Lebanon into another Gaza?
We have no intention of turning Hezbollah into Gaza in no way.
The war with no signs of slowing. An American supersonic B-1 arriving today, called the Bone. It carries up to 34,000 kilos of bombs. A horror show in the wings. So it was around this time last week that Operation Epic Fury was launched and plunged this region into war and chaos. The satellite photos show the before and after in Iran. The Americans, though, we've seen the Ayatollah toppled, and we've seen 1,000+ people killed in this, most of them civilians, and the US refusing to slow down. Now reports that a third aircraft carrier group is on its way to this region. In the Atlantic, 2 weeks away, the USS George H.W. Bush. 3 aircraft carriers in this area at the one time. That is an unprecedented concentration of firepower. Sam?
Chris Reason in Tel Aviv, thank you. A resolute US president has sent a clear message to any surviving members of Ayatollah's regime. There will be no deal, only unconditional surrender. The White House is under fire, though, for releasing videos glorifying the strikes in Iran, one of them set to an Aussie anthem.
With the future of Iran hanging in the balance, Donald Trump hosts a meeting on the future of college sports.
It doesn't sound very important compared to what's happening in Iran and other places, but it is very important to me.
Also high on his list, crushing the Iranian regime, setting a new end goal, There will be no deal with Iran except unconditional surrender.
Their army is gone, their navy is gone,
their
communications are gone, their leaders are gone.
The president says he's fine if another religious figure becomes Iran's next leader, whether they're democratically elected or not, as long as they treat the United States and Israel well.
I know there's a number of people that our intelligence agencies and the United States government are looking at.
But with each strike, that shortlist gets shorter. Also today, reports that Tehran has been receiving battlefield help from Russia, with allegations the Kremlin has been providing intelligence helping it to target U.S. assets across the Middle East.
We're tracking everything. Our commanders are aware of everything.
That clearly is not making a difference with respect to the military operations in Iran, because we are completely decimating them.
The White House rubbing it in, posting a stream of social media memes, including this one, set to an Aussie anthem.
Oh, we ain't doing that. We ain't doing that music. No. Nope.
Mixing war footage with clips from Hollywood blockbusters.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
Including Tropic Thunder. Ben Stiller demanding it be removed. We never gave you permission and have no interest.
What do you mean, you people?
And a machine. In Washington, D.C., Rob Scott, 7 News.
All right, so let's get back over to this dignified, what they call a dignified transfer of some of the casualties
for
from
the
the war.
nation to continue to probe.
And that's what we are waiting on now.
But this has been asked and answered. Iran is a state that cannot and should not ever have a nuclear weapon. Iran is a state that would use that nuclear weapon, and Iran has stated who they would attack. So Iran's nuclear capability is a 100% no-go as it relates to United States policy. Previous presidents have talked about it. Previous presidents have done things like President Obama and President Biden did, which is give the world's biggest state sponsor of terrorism duffel bags and billions of dollars of cash over the years. And this president is doing what no other president was willing to do. He's doing what needs to be done, which is to once and for all prevent a nuclear Iran. That is why these strikes are taking place. I should also mention the Intercontinental Ballistic Missile Program. You hear a lot about ICBM program. So this is the delivery capability for what might have become a nuclear Iran, but for Operation Epic Fury. The ICBM program was the most aggressive and large ICBM program in the world that Iran had. And in fact, it was China. China was building out Iran's ICBM program. Even by Iran's own claims, there are indications that the range was either dangerously close or within striking distance of the United States. Iran's intent is unlikely to be building an ICBM program to attack a nation like Vietnam and Southeast Asia or otherwise. So the ICBM program is also very important. Right now, what the United States is doing,
That looks like Tel Aviv right there.
is destruction of Iran's core military capabilities, so that as the years progress, as we have new presidents, President Trump is putting the United States in a posture where Iran cannot threaten the United States militarily going forward.
And so as we're taking a live look over the skyline there in Israel right now, we've also been looking for some of those retaliatory strikes. And speaking of those retaliatory strikes, it's not limited just to Israel as well. We've been seeing them ranging all around the Gulf and some of those neighbor states as well. I'm going to put a map up on the screen for folks who maybe aren't familiar with some of the landscape there in the area. But while I have you, Omar, can you sort of talk about the significance of Saudi Arabia, UAE, who have also been impacted by some of these retaliatory strikes by Iran?
What I'll say is that Iran has done more to pull together a U.S.-Israel Arab GCC Sunni Muslim country coalition against it than American diplomacy could have done in 20 years.
You're still watching me, right?
The Iranian president is apologizing on one hand for launching the
I have light
strikes
sensitivity
into the
in my
airspace and
eyes.
sovereignty in the sovereign nations
But thank you.
of the GCC states.
I need to wear them.
But at the same time is
Don't they
continuing
look
to
cool?
send out these attack drones.
If you're going to
and
have to do something medically, wearing shades is not the worst.
missiles that are not exactly fully precise. Iran is not the most professional military in the
sure
world.
am.
And so I think what we will see in the coming months is a consolidated anti-Iranian regime political consolidation. I think we will see greater signals for acceleration of the Abraham Accords. I think how this is all managed going forward makes a difference as well.
That's the internet.
I do want to make a point about various articles that we see in the public domain. There are outlets that are critical of President Trump that as the initial phase of this conflict started, there were unnamed sources saying that Saudi Arabia lobbied and sort of twisted the United States' arm to initiate this military operation on Iran. And some of those same
We just broke 400,000 views on this live stream, by the way, guys.
Trump outlets now.
Yeah, don't be jealous, David.
Naming unnamed sources or citing unnamed sources to say that the GCC nations like Saudi Arabia are considering withdrawing or not engaging in certain defense contracts with the United States. So that's all very incoherent. There's obviously a very clear interest for the Iranian regime that has really done its best to destabilize
the
Middle
dignified
East.
transfer of some of the KIA soldiers that are being brought back from overseas to Dover Air Force Base. We're going to be getting to that in a second. That's what we're waiting for.
Collapsing into a failed state. The Hezbollah proxy in Lebanon has drawn a conflict that has put Lebanon's economy back over and over again because of Hezbollah's activity. Hamas.
Oh, I'm done with you.
Same thing, destabilizing and putting the entire region into flux, aside from the fact that they're committing murder against civilians. And one thing that I think is very important, because you asked me about a regional
one-stop shop for news.
I think the GCC countries have.
We just do it a little differently. We're not so stuffy over here.
The casualties were actually inflicted on Muslims themselves by Iran.
A lot of people seem to be, but not too many.
The region is not unfamiliar with the fact that Iran has been extremely brutal.
You get more comments on the ears than the shades, that's for sure.
In the years of the war in Iraq, and Iran has actually materially supported the insurgency in Afghanistan against the United States, and of course Afghan forces and those civilians that were paying the biggest price. So that's all to just contextualize that the region has been tired of the Iranian regime for a long time. And
boy, this guy sounds like he's asleep. Let's go back over to the briefing.
Yeah, please.
How does the administration plan to distribute the money from the Venezuela oil sales? Is it?
He sounds like as exciting as
these controlled accounts.
Yeah.
Would it go back to Venezuela in a direct payment? Is it going through these goods? How do you plan to do that?
Well, we want to make sure that Venezuela can survive. You know, Venezuela needs.
I hope you hit the like button.
Money, and we're going to make sure that they get money.
I appreciate
and we're going to get
here.
money, and the oil companies are going to make something for the work they do, and they're going to get back their money. We're devising a formula, but it won't be so much of a formula. It's going to be what they need. We're going to take care of what they need. There'll be plenty left over. We're going to have a lot of money left over. And the money left over is going to the United States of America, and the oil companies are going to be very happy. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. Would the administration offer a backstop to these oil companies for like financial guarantees, some sort of backstop, if the country did destabilize again?
That's a very interesting question. Using the word backstop, I haven't heard that word in a long time. That was at the Wharton School of Finance I last heard. That's a good term. We ought to use it more often. I hope I don't have to give a backstop. I'm just, look, these are very smart people, the smartest people. They're not only in oil and business. These are the biggest companies in the world sitting around this table. They know the risks. I mean, there are risks. We're going to help them out. We're going to make it real easy. They're going to be there for a long time. We're going to be there together for a long, long time. And they're going to be taking the oil, and they're going to be bringing oil prices down. They're going to make a lot of money. They're going to get their money back. They're going to be safe. The people of Venezuela are going to be big beneficiaries, and the United States of America is going to be a big beneficiary for what we've done. And you know, one other thing I might say, it's also very big for national security because, again, just like Green.
All right, we're going to have a look over here. Looks like we have some.
And so in just a few moments here on some of this video footage, this came into us just yesterday. Speaking of some of those strikes, you'll see a plume of smoke come up. But I want to ask you, Omar, not only focusing there on Hezbollah or some of the other proxies, but the tentacles that reach further from the impact of this ongoing conflict when it comes to the energy markets there in the region. I want to put this up from Phil Stewart. He's with Reuters
it's all
saying
part of having a good
the
time,
war has
guys.
blocked the world's most important oil artery. the Strait of Hormuz, which is responsible for 20% of
Every
global
time I ring this
oil
bell, a
and
troll gets
supply.
its wings.
So
There you
when
go,
it comes
David.
to this number
Thank
and
you
what
for
we're
being
seeing
here.
and what we should be paying attention to, Omar, what will the impact likely be of something like this? And why is it important that those ships are able to get through that Strait of Hormuz eventually,
I am a
even though this
freak.
conflict is ongoing?
Exactly right. I wrote about this in an op-ed in Fox News published a couple days ago. I would look at this in two ways. One is we could look at this through the narrow lens of gas prices that may fluctuate as a result of instability in the Middle East, not just in the attacks that you're seeing of Iran.
I'm going to go back
oil
there in a
fields,
second.
targeting oil
I
fields
thought they were
now.
going to be starting
Saudi Arabia
but
has
since you have the request, you want to go back. I wanted to see the end of this too.
Go ahead, sure.
But what we are waiting for is that live transfer at Dover Air Force Base of the KIA soldiers coming back home to the U.S.
You know,
What is your method we're waiting
I
on?
could take questions from these people all day long. You know, they're sitting here, and generally they're very rich, very powerful, but nobody gives a damn
I watch all
about
kinds
them.
of news. I watch
It's
all
a
kinds of
sad
news.
thing. You have all that
I
money,
try
all
and
that
keep
power.
a balance between all the different kinds of news outlets here, so everybody can have a different opinion, make up their own mind. You know, we're not an echo chamber. We're not gatekeepers. We're just showing you what we see.
And look at all these crazy questions.
Yeah,
we could do
couple
this
days.
all day long, and they wouldn't be satisfied.
I have a question on today's meeting, Mr.
We'll
President.
take a few more,
I have
though.
a question on today's meeting, Mr. President.
Do you have? Let me ask you more importantly. Do you have any questions from the biggest?
Yes, sure.
Hold it. Do you have any questions for the biggest
Let it
people
cook.
on earth, the biggest business people,
Let 'em
the
talk.
biggest
Fine.
companies
Don't worry about it.
anywhere on earth? Do you have any questions for these people? No. Do you have a question for them? Go ahead. Go ahead. Ask them a question.
To rebuilding the oil infrastructure in Venezuela. And for the executives in the room, what do you need from the administration in order to invest?
That's a good question. Do you want to go and answer that question?
Yeah,
Exxon, small company.
I'll refer you back to the statements I made before. There are a number
Not
of
old to
legal
me. I haven't seen
and
it yet,
commercial
so
frameworks that would have
better
to be
bring it up. You can
established
do
to
your
even
own show, though,
understand
Ray. Thank you.
what kind of returns that we'd get on the investments.
Kind of in a holding
So I think
pattern here, waiting.
all the investments and the opportunity sets, I think everyone sitting around this table would have the opportunity and the know-how and the capability to make the investments. The questions will ultimately be how durable are the protections from a financial standpoint? What do the returns look like? What are the commercial arrangements, the legal frameworks? All those things have to be put in place in order to make a decision to understand what your return would be over the next several decades that these $1 billion investments would be made on.
You know, could I do this? Because we have, again, the biggest people on the planet Earth around this table, biggest companies in the world. I'd like to just ask them to introduce themselves. We'll start from this end and go around to here.
That sounds delicious.
If you have
Taco
anything to
pate?
quickly say, we can do that.
That sounds yummy.
But you want to just start right over here? These two guys, we'll leave them out because they're with us. Please.
Thank you, President Trump. John Addison at VTOL. We're here to ensure that you are going to be able to move all of this oil all around the world at the best price possible so that the influence that you have over the Venezuelans will ensure that you get what you want.
Thank you. Thank you. Good point.
Thank you, Mr. President. Brian Sheffield of Formentera. My grandfather, Hugh Sheffield, was president of ARCO, Venezuela.
Right.
Thank you for what you did.
Do you like what we're doing?
There's a lot of shale there, a lot of upside.
He would be very happy looking down. He'd be very proud of you right now, right?
Yes, sir.
Good. Thank you.
Mr. President, Luis Rodriguez. I'm probably the only Venezuelan American sitting on around this table. I want to personally thank you for the courage of your actions over the last couple of weeks. I think I speak, and I speak of Venezuela in general in saying there's optimism. You've brought optimism to the table, and if the conditions are met,
bro, I got a black
the
belt and trolls.
opportunities
You're a little
absolutely
cupcake.
immense.
Shut up.
I agree with that. That's true. Thank you. Well said, too. It's immense. This is
What are you gonna do?
Tremendous opportunity.
What are you going to do?
Richard
for you.
Holton from Trafigura. We're working with your administration, Mr. President, to bring that Venezuelan oil to the United States. Our first vessel should load in the next week.
Great. Good job. Thank you.
I think the
reason that most of us are here and thinking about the future is because we trust you initially to set this program up that will work and guarantee that this can be done. And there's a huge investment that needs to be done. We've all agreed on that. And
another Tony in the house. Thank you.
To see that through. So thank you for what you've done. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of them are.
Mr. President, I'm Wayne Riggs, CEO of Valero Energy, and we're one of those companies that refineries in the U.S. are uniquely configured to run Venezuelan oil, and we're more than happy as this opportunity expands for us to further invest in our refineries to produce more of it.
And you're very much set up for the heavy oil, right?
Yes, sir.
That's great. That's great. We're ready for it.
Some of the American
Thank you, Mr. President.
and international contractors that you're talking to in this briefing
opening the door
that are going to go get the oil.
Venezuela. We are a Spanish company, but we are fully committed to invest here in the States. We have invested over the last 15 years $21 billion in the American oil and gas industry, in Pennsylvania, in the Gulf of America, in Texas, and in Alaska with the discovery of Pica, that is going to have the first oil this quarter and is going to change, is going to reverse the declining history of that great state of Alaska. We are in Venezuela, Mr. President, with our partners
represent
of
some of the richest companies in the world.
The gas that guarantees the stability of a half of the grid power in Venezuela. So we are committed with this.
Let's jump over, let's take a look at some of the protests happening real quick here. This is in New York City. This is from BG on the scene. Big shout out to BG. Pretty much. On the money. Live in New York City. Thank you, Lori, for the 1,000 jewels.
Donald Trump in the USA! Biggest threat in the world today! Biggest threat in the world today! Donald Trump in the USA! Donald Trump in the USA! The biggest threat in the world today! Biggest threat in the world today! Donald Trump in the USA! Donald Trump in the USA! Biggest threat in the world today! Biggest threat in the world today! Donald Trump in the USA! Donald Trump in the USA! Biggest threat for war! Trump says more war! We said no war! We say no war! Trump says more war! Trump says more war! We say no war! We say no more! Trump says more war! Trump says more war! We say no
We're going to put a hold on that. We're going over to President Trump arriving at Dover Air Force Base for what is called a dignified transfer. Some more breaking news here, guys. This is Dover Air Force Base.
We're not getting in the van. A little countdown. Yeah.
For the 6 soldiers who lost their lives in the Middle East, coming home to the United States. They're bringing them home.
Live view stuff, correct? Live view with us, correct? Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Air Force One on the tarmac at Dover Air Force Base. And that ceremony should begin shortly. Something arriving at Dover Air Force Base. So let's get back to the protest here. While we're waiting. Yeah, this is from BG on the scene. Big shout out to BG on the scene. Getting a lot of the great protest coverage. And go give BG on the scene a follow or a sub. Now we're seeing the motorcade right here. We'll get back to that for a second. You see the motorcade here on the move. The presidential motorcade with the beast. This is called a dignified transfer of the American casualties from Kuwait. There we go. That's great. Let's go back to the protests. We got all kinds of stuff on Facebook. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so this is happening right now, live from Dover Air Force Base, guys. This is the dignified transfer of remains of 2 Iowa National Guardsmen. So we can just watch this start to happen here as we'll be getting some more footage coming in, but this is a very somber and serious moment for those coming home. And as you can see right here, this is a dignified transfer. News organizations have been asked to follow the protocols of this transfer. And we're going to just be keeping an eye on this. So you can see this beginning to happen here. A very sensitive and solemn moment for the families. As we see what will likely be, yeah, there they are. We don't have any audio here. But as you can see, the remains of two U.S. National Guardsmen, Sergeant Edgar Brian Torres Tovar and Sergeant William Nathaniel Howard. Thank you for your sacrifice. And the quiet only matches the somber mood that this is being recognized not only by the president and the members of the cabinet, but as well as the families of the two Iowa National Guardsmen who lost their lives in Kuwait. I'm sorry, in Syria. One of them has been brought off of the plane. And thoughts and prayers for the families of these soldiers who lost their lives.
And President Trump taking part in the dignified transfer of remains at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware for two fallen National Guardsmen, Sergeant Edgar Brian Torres Tovar and Sergeant William Nathaniel Howard, both from Iowa, were killed over the weekend in an attack in Syria that the U.S. military has blamed on the Islamic State group. Media outlets have been asked not to provide any audio as part of traditional protocol.
And the media and press following the military protocols. So that's why we are not getting the audio right now. This is live from Dover Air Force Base. The dignified transfer of remains of two Iowa National Guardsmen. Ugh. Ugh. Yeah. Sergeant Edgar Brian Torres Tovar and Sergeant William Nathaniel Howard. Ayad Mansour, an interpreter, also in what is a somber ceremony from Dover Air Force Base. And I think that the images speak for themselves. Pete Hegseth, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, as well as the rest of the military and cabinet, and no doubt the families of these fallen soldiers. So I'm just going to give this a moment of silence. And I believe this would be the interpreter. Iowa National Guardsman, KIA, in Syria. No doubt an incredibly sad moment for their families. Thoughts and prayers for their families, for their friends, for their loved ones. Again, a very somber moment.
And President Trump taking part in the dignified transfer of remains at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware for two fallen National Guardsmen, Sergeant Edgar Brian Torres Tovar and Sergeant William Nathaniel Howard, both from Iowa, were killed over the weekend in an attack in Syria that the U.S. military has blamed on the Islamic State group. Media outlets have been asked not to provide any audio as part of traditional protocol.
There you go. As I said earlier, this is part of the military protocol to not have audio. So if people are wondering why there's no audio, that is part of the military protocol for the press and media. Wow. If anybody makes any stupid remarks about the military or these people who lost their lives, you're just going to get banned. So. Again, there is no audio. because that is military protocol for all the media out here. Wow. So let's go back to this protest here. That is heavy. That is heavy.
But it certainly won't crumble by itself.
Thank you, Ivor.
Well, we had the Greeks, the black suits here.
Well, hopefully not, Michael. We hope not. This is going on in New York. In New York City, anti-war protesters. I haven't lived in Manhattan in a long time. People saying it's 7th Avenue near 4th Street. Thank you, Mello. Live from BG on the Scene. If you're curious where the footage is coming from, doing great work over there on that channel. Now, there was a Khomeini memorial in New York City, so we're going to take a look at that for a second. There was a bit of a conflict, apparently, according to this story.
I have family living in Tehran, but at the same time, we are all waiting for a moment that we may get the chance to take our country back, and I hope that moment comes very soon.
Havana and Caracas and everywhere.
What? Don't do that, man.
I have a show where I'm just holding me for a little bit. You got it. Cool.
That's all you get for taking that fucking sign.
I got you. I'm just taking a picture.
So there you have it. So we're going to go back over to New York City and listen to this.
We want justice, we want peace. war in Iran now. No 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 war in Iran now. Biggest threat in the world today. Biggest threat in the world today. Donald Trump in the USA. Donald Trump in the USA. Biggest threat in the world today. Biggest threat in the world today. Donald Trump in the USA. Donald Trump in the USA. Biggest threat in the world today. Biggest threat in the world today. Donald Trump in the USA. Donald Trump in the USA. Biggest threat in the world today. Biggest threat in the world today. Donald Trump in the USA. Donald Trump in the USA. Biggest threat in the world today. Biggest threat in the world today. Donald Trump in the USA. Donald Trump in the USA. We want justice, you say how? We want justice, you say how? Hands off Iran now. Hands off Iran now. We want justice, you say how? We want justice, you say how? Hands off Iran. Hands off Iran now. We want justice, you say how? We want justice, you say how? Hands off Iran now. Hands off Iran now. We want justice, you say how? We want justice, you say how? Hands off Iran now. Hands off Iran now. We want
Definitely, I agree with a lot of you in the chat here about the protesters. So here we go. Let's go back to this White House briefing.
Again, China and Russia would have been there if we didn't do this. And the other thing people ask about the second wave, I don't think it's going to be necessary. We have an armada, a giant armada like nobody's ever seen in that part of the world. And it's stationed off the coast. And we are getting along so well with the people that are involved and representing Venezuela that I don't think we're going to have any I don't think it's going to be necessary to do the second wave. We were planning on a second wave, but the first wave was so powerful and so good and so strong. And frankly, the people in the country, they did the right thing. They were smart. They did the right thing. They didn't want to go through a second wave. But we've got a tremendous number of the most powerful ships in the world right there. I don't think we're going to have to use that. I'm happy to say that. I don't think we're going to have to use that at all. If I could ask Chevron, you did a great job. I want to thank you. And ExxonMobil, if you would say a few words, and then followed by Conoco, great companies, massive companies, great companies. Exxon, please.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President.
This is Exxon, Conoco, all the major oil companies in the world looking to stake their claim.
Invitation and the opportunity, frankly, for the entire industry to show up and provide a perspective. Frankly, we've been kind of unresponsive to the press regarding Venezuela. I guess today's the opportunity to address the press directly with respect to a number of questions that have been asked of ExxonMobil. First and foremost, obviously, is the interest that we have in Venezuela. And I think, you know, the way I would position that, I think one of the reasons why we see many of the industry players here is we're in a depletion business for a product that is in great demand and will be in demand for many, many, many decades to come. And as a depletion business, the biggest challenge we have is finding resources. There's an opportunity in Venezuela with all the resources there is we don't have that challenge of finding, we have the challenge of developing those resources. So I think it's in the best interest of these companies and frankly society as a whole for the industry to be interested in understanding what the opportunity here represents. I'll just share a philosophy that ExxonMobil has when we enter countries because we do business all around the world in a number of different regimes. We take a very long-term perspective. The investments that we make span decades and decades, so we do not go into any opportunity with a short-term mindset. And there's a value proposition that we have to meet. It has to be a win-win-win proposition. Obviously, it has to be a win for the company and our shareholders and to generate a return for the investments that we make. Has to be a win for the government. The resources are an important source of revenue that help support the people of the places that we do business. And it has to be a win for the people. We have to be wanted there and to be a good neighbor. And those three things ensure a stable, long-term platform for the large investments that we make for the long term. With respect to Venezuela in particular, we have a very long history in Venezuela. In fact, we first got into Venezuela back in the 1940s. We've had our assets seized there twice. And so you can imagine to re-enter a third time would require some pretty significant changes from what we've historically seen here and what is currently the state. If we look at the legal and commercial constructs and frameworks in place today in Venezuela, today it's uninvestable. And so significant changes have to be made to those commercial frameworks, the legal system. There has to be durable investment protections, and there has to be a change to the hydrocarbon laws in the country. We're confident that with this administration and President Trump working hand in hand with the Venezuelan government, that those changes can be put in place. And with respect to the Venezuelan government, that perspective we don't have a view on. We haven't talked to the Venezuelan government, and obviously we have yet to assess the people's perspective with respect to ExxonMobil entering the country. In the short term, there are things that can be done while these longer-term issues are being worked. For us, we haven't been in the country for almost 20 years.
Like and subscribe, guys. Like and subscribe.
It's absolutely critical in the short term that we get a technical team in place to assess the current state of the industry and the assets, to understand what would be involved to help the people of Venezuela get production back on the market. With the invitation of the Venezuelan government and with appropriate security guarantees, we are ready to put a team on the ground there. We also have a integrated set of capabilities from production to refining to trading, and I think we can be of assistance.
And what kind of impact is this going to have on oil prices?
Realizing a market price to help.
Everybody's worried about what happens at the
financial
pump.
situation in Venezuela.
For sure.
So those are my short-term perspective that I have. I'd say maybe close with a thank you, Mr. President, for the work that you've done to secure not only the national security, but the energy security of the region. And then thank you, Secretary Rubio, Secretary Wright, Secretary Burgum, for your leadership in this matter. Thank you.
How long would it take you, Darren, as Exxon to, if we make a deal, how long would it take you to get in there and get started?
Well, the first step, this technical team, as I talked with Secretary Wright earlier this week, we started from the beginning to put the team together so that if and when it was needed, we could hit the ground almost immediately. So we can hit the ground within the next couple of weeks. Start the assessment, and then from there we need to understand.
That's what we want. We want speed and quality. That's what we want. Thank you, Darren. And Conoco, Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate the opportunity to be here too, and you've assembled a great team. And our congratulations as well for removing one of the terrible people in the world and bringing them to justice. It was quite amazing. I think you've given hope to the people of Venezuela again, which I think is quite remarkable. And we've been on the other end of that despot regime a long time. Our assets were expropriated. I had a little bit more hair when that happened. And, you know, I think we're the largest non-sovereign credit holder in Venezuela today. So we're in a bit of a different situation, but I think your big and bold idea to use energy commerce instead of conflict is something that could make a real big difference in Venezuela. And our company certainly stands ready to help in that endeavor. Encourage you to continue to think bigger and even bolder. And we've had some discussions with your energy team about that as well. As we think about the other people that need to be in this room and in this discussion are the banks, and including probably the Exim Bank, as we think about how the debt needs to be restructured in the financing to deliver the billions of dollars that are required to restore their energy infrastructure. And I think as we think that big and bold, we need to be also thinking about even restructuring the entire Venezuelan energy system, including PDVSA.
We understand.
And I think if we can do that and think bold, there's an opportunity to be quick, fast, and restore the quality of what's happened in Venezuela, or what's been lost in Venezuela over the course of the last 25 years. So thank you for this opportunity.
Well, thank you very much, and you'll get a lot of your money back. We're going to start with
You're going to get a lot of your money back.
We're not going to look at what people lost in the past because that was their fault. That was a different president. You're going to make a lot of money, but we're not going to go back. You left a lot of money behind, I guess, huh? What number?
12 billion.
How much?
12 billion.
12 billion.
It's a good write-off.
It's already been written off.
It's been written. All right, thank you. You'll make it back one way or the other. You're all going to do very well. I think really very well. Marco just gave me a note.
Oh.
Go back to Chevron. They want to discuss something. Go ahead. I'm going back to Chevron.
By the way, this live stream has just hit over 500,000 views, and I want to thank everybody for helping me do that today with your likes and your shares and everybody being here. Let's see, we're going to get a close-up of me real quick here. There you go. So we're going to be watching any real shifts, credible updates, and we're going to be back live as soon as there's any meaningful change in this situation or anything that we need to keep an eye on. I want to thank everybody for joining me. Thank you, mods. Thank you for all the jewels. Thank you, everybody, for your support. You like that close-up right there? I know. See, I'm not afraid of a close-up. I'm not afraid of a close-up. Never have been. So thank you so much for joining me. We do the news different here. The truth is a moving target, guys. And again, thank you, mods. Thank you, everybody, for being here and hitting the like. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Put your opinions there. All right, I'll get down and we can talk it out right in the comment section. Let me know what you like, what you don't like. And I hope you guys have a great day. Remember, the truth is a moving target. We hit 500,000 views today. I will see you guys on the next one. Yeah, boy.